Welcome to the Poker Coaching Study Group. This is the cash game group, and we are playing with the DTO trainer, and then we'll do some marked hands. That's something to do. So, anybody up? We're doing just regular trainer. Who's up first? All right.
I'm happy to go
Okay,
if you want.
you go. You go. You're up first.
All right, so what happened? So we raised on the
Scotty,
button.
Scott, hang on,
Yeah.
Scotty.
Yeah.
Your calendar is showing in the background.
Oh, thanks. Let's get rid of that. There we go. Now we're back.
All right, we raised on the button, got called. I would be 33.
Okay, that works. So, and the trainers. Oh, I think the trainer will tell us. Oh, even better for our hand that we miss. He
The blind check, I couldn't see.
yeah, it goes fast.
Okay, then I'd be 66.
Okay, which you don't have the option.
Oh, which we don't have.
Oh,
So
no, we have a half pot. We have a 33, a full pot, and a double pot for this.
I bet pot.
Okay,
I go 3.3.
okay. I'm gonna say that it's going to do both. I think it's gonna mix between these two,
Yeah.
and that
Well, the
two X's.
reasoning is that the ace is a great card for our range, so we might be barreling range here.
That makes sense. And we've chosen the bigger size. Yep, it wants us. It's just said that it's not happy with that. So let's see. Does it let us change? I think it does.
Well, I would have done 2/3.
Oh my gosh. It looks like if the tool way, I think that what this is saying to us is no, no. And so it's our next choice is to check or to double, which
It's check.
all right, we're going check. There we go. That's what it wants. And it checks again.
We have 8 point. I'm betting 2x pot.
Okay. We are going to make this guy fold after checking. So we
See-
took the line bet.
Oh,
check.
we checked. Hang on, I take that back. Yeah, because I think we go 2x pot when we bet the turn. I
Right.
would not have checked that turn.
Yeah.
If we checked the turn, shit. I guess I still go 2x pot.
Okay. It seems live in game. It certainly seems suspicious that you check the turn behind and then you decide to polarize at this level, but maybe it'll work. Yeah, I wouldn't have the confidence to do this in game, but I agree with you on the turn play. Let's see what it says. Nope.
Check.
Yeah, that's what it wants. Now here's the lovely thing. Explain last move. Virtual coach. So on the turn, while it's doing this, it takes it a minute to do this. On the turn, when we pick up this much extra equity, I'm just everything I know learns to bet. Now here you go. So this is its explanation, and it's powered by ChatGPT.
Well,
Powered by OpenAI.
so, the big blind has a lot of ace X too. We have better ace X because it's lacking the very top best ace X. It would have 3-bet,
Yeah,
but they defend a lot of ace X.
they do.
So it's especially in that configuration. So, it's not necessarily the case. I think that card clearly shifts equity to us.
Yeah.
No, I see why it did it.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't you see why it didn't bet the turn. It's not going to answer the turn. It's only going to answer its
Oh,
river.
I know, but I know why the answer on the turn was check.
Yeah, yeah.
We have the nut flush draw. When you double barrel, sometimes the nut flush draw checks to realize, and
Okay.
also to have some nut flushes in our checking range when we do check.
Right. But when we've got the nut flush, but when we've got a combo draw like that, because we also have a straight draw.
That's
thought
even
that would be-
better to check.
Okay. Okay.
Cause you get more, you realize your equity better.
You know, I'm just looking at this explanation and reading it, and I know it's Chat GPT. I mean, but I
boy,
just think that's nonsense. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, the lack of fold equity, board texture, given the way the action has gone, the blind could have, I don't know, a pair of fives. They're
Yeah.
folding a pair of fives. I
they
mean,
called one, they called one bet.
yeah,
But now, also the way the action is gone. We have the nut, we pretty much have the nut, no pair of hand. And that itself has showdown value on this board.
that is absolutely true. I mean, I disagree with with all of these 3 points, and I'm confused. I mean, I'm really confused. We have showdown value, we have fold equity, and the board texture, well, the board texture and lack of fold equity are linked, but
Yeah.
I mean, I think we do have showdown value and we do have fold equity, so I don't understand what this is talking about.
That's the thing that amused me, is that it speaks, it's like me. It speaks so confidently and can be so convincing and so wrong.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
the ace in this configuration, the value of the ace is shared, although we've got aces with better kickers.
But also seeing what we've seen with the multi-way, I'm also not very confident in the answers in.
Yeah. And this one you should be less on. The answer in its trainer is one thing. That's, you know, that's been done, we believe, with a real solver. This, it tells us that this could be nonsense. This AI.
Ilea, our virtual coach may at times produce inaccurate information.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah, and I do think while this, I think to me, like this is a good board. I like double barreling on this.
Well, and
Because I
also
think you're
about-
right that
Matt.
the ace, the blind has a lot of aces, but but the blind didn't 3-bet pre. So if the blind's got, say, ace 6, which they are a middling ace, if you go 75% turn, 2x pot river, they are not in real life, maybe in solver world, but in real life, they are not calling you down with top pair bad kicker when you're the pre-flop raiser.
Yeah, there's a lot of folds there.
Also in the solver, can you get rid of that
Yeah,
talking box?
yeah.
In the solver, when the 4 of hearts hits the river, after it goes check on the turn, that card does not give us overbets in the solver.
Yeah, it's
So that's even less why I like your 2x pot.
but if we bet the turn, we can certainly continue on that river.
Yeah, if we bet the turn and we get check raised, we can withstand a check raise on this texture.
Yeah.
So I do like a barrel on occasion there.
Oh,
Right,
am I
yeah.
still on? Okay, so
you're on.
we called, he checked. I think I'm gonna check behind here.
How can we, no, we couldn't call. We had to three bet here the way, yeah.
Now, the
Oh, no, we
pots,
call,
it's raise call.
which is interesting because I thought we don't, we're not in the,
We're in
NL50 simulation.
DTO, we're in DTO ranges and they're all messed up.
We're in DTO ranges and I forgot, and the NL50 has no calls in the cutoff, but their higher thing, the NL500 does. And so
Yeah.
that's allowed to call. So we call and then he checked.
Oh, Scotty.
Yeah.
See down in the right-hand corner,
Yeah,
can you go percent pot?
yeah. There we go.
There we go. That's much nicer.
There
Can
we
you
go.
click the one below that too to make it, oh, never mind. This is fun.
That's
What
that.
does, oh. Nah, I like classic better.
There we go. Great. Okay. Racist. So, he's checked to us.
Yeah, I think bet or check is okay, but I'm gonna check here.
Yeah,
I think
I
we're
think
gonna check here.
it's marginally made. Oh, but it's worse than marginally made. It's sometimes we bluff the bottom pairs. So we're gonna check though. So I think this will have some
No, I
bet.
don't think we bluff small pairs with a paired board.
Okay, here we go. He bets.
I'm out. Bye-bye.
That was
I
not why we
call.
were here. Yep. And
Oh, God.
we'll see. And the first thing it said was, it said that while this may be nonsense, our trainer isn't nonsense. The opening, disclaimer said that. Our AI is solely used to interpret simulation results, which are generated by GTO solvers. The accuracy of the simulation remains unaffected by how stupid this AI is. But let's see.
My belief is that on a small bet, on the ace, which is a card that they should be bluffing quite often,
Mhm.
I think we have to call one.
Okay.
And if there was a way to run this through GTO Wizard, I'd be interested to see if there's any calling with this hand.
Oh, yeah, sure. We can just,
I don't think this hand is in range in GTO Wizard.
It might be a little bit at NL
Might-
500,
have
but
to-
not at NL 50.
yeah. If someone was, give it, if anybody's got that tool available, let's run it for fun.
Hey,
You
Mike,
wanna
do
run,
you
which
have
one do
it?
you wanna run? This one?
Yeah, this one.
Uh,
I'll leave it up there for a second for you to capture it.
well, all I'm seeing is.
Oh,
our
oh no, we gotta go
result.
back. Let's see. Yeah, it was king, oh, and he had the lovely jack 10. We were ahead.
Can you go back to the hand?
I can, oh, you can see the hand behind here.
Okay.
King of
So we have
diamonds.
a pair of fours in the cutoff. Hijack raised, cutoff flat call, board king 7 with a flush draw, turn ace.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll set it up. You guys move forward in line.
Yep, king of spades,
Yeah.
king of diamonds, 7 of spades, ace of hearts, just for, so that when it comes in, all right. All right, you got one more. Hey, you got a better hand now.
So we just flat called in the small blind,
No,
raise.
we
We
raised.
raised, we 3-bet.
We 3-bet.
Yeah.
3-bet, c-bet. Let's bet. Wait a second. My only choices are 70% or all in.
Those are it. That's what that's the limits on this guy.
One
Okay,
quick
then I
question,
guess-
does GTO use a 2.5?
Yes,
I would bet less, but I will bet 70% given these options.
great.
Well, that's an ugly card.
Hmm.
I would bet 20, B25.
Okay,
I check.
I would check. I don't hate B25, but I would check. But your plan? It likes it and he folded. And he folded his pocket eights. Okay,
Yeah, I see no reason to have turn jacks into a bluff on the turn.
you're still value betting it. And, oh, DTO coach is not available. It doesn't like that. All right,
All right, you guys wanna look at this one?
Yes.
yeah. Let me stop share.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
King 7 is our flop. He's got more trips. They're gonna have more trips, right?
Yeah.
They have more trips. Yeah, so, the solver checked, he can mix here, I guess, mostly checks. Cross range, it looks like. And we can mix.
Mhm.
Yeah, and with
Surprisingly.
our hand with jacks, I guess it's oh wait, was this?
No,
No,
we
this
had
was pair of
fours
fours,
this
sorry.
hand.
This is our force.
Yeah, pair of fours,
no, no.
it's 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're betting small across the entire range. Always betting small though.
Yep.
And I would assume that's because sizing often is reduced to
board.
compared boards.
Yeah.
So
We
We
checked.
checked. We
we
checked.
check. And it
Ace
was
of
a
hearts.
ace
Turn
of
was an ace of
hearts.
hearts.
And he checked again?
No,
No,
he
he bet
bet.
small.
This is our question. So he like
Yeah,
did a
he bet, we
B33?
folded.
So what's our calling range here? Is the question really?
Yeah. What do our fours do?
So he bet small.
Mhm.
We're in different
Agreed.
AF.
It wants specifically to not have. It specifically wants heart club.
Not a spade.
It wants to unblock the FD, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wants to unblock his flush draw.
Right. But it also hates diamond club. Interestingly.
Show that, can you do strategy plus EV real quick? It's 0 for,
Yeah, it picks up 0.1. There's a hidden 0.1 in that combo. And it's not immediately obvious to me why. Well, it's immediately obvious to me why why you don't want a spade.
Let's filter for under pairs and see. Yeah, it's very linear driven.
Hmm.
Third pair of that, we're beginning to call more. And then.
Yeah.
Top pair, we're not folding.
Interesting that the difference between jacks and eights.
What do you mean?
I mean, jacks, nines, jacks, tens, nines, eights. That's what I meant.
I'm
Interesting.
sorry,
that-
I'd still
how
find
linear
a
that is.
call. I mean, I've been a student of JL's for like 17, 18 years. And he is kind of a calling station and sticky with this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at real quick. Yeah, we're just any other region you guys want to look at?
No.
Okay.
We just need to see what Pours did.
Yeah, so our under pairs are mixing and it's very linear in the way that it's calling. What are our flush draws doing? Let's look at that and then behind it back.
Well, flush draws have to be calling. It was a small bet.
Yes, but they might have some raises too. So queen jack, which is a gut shot, begins to in position raise. And there's no flush draws that are folding. Let's give it a B75. Quick.
I don't think they'd be folding to that either.
Nope.
Then the imposition raises go away and they call even
Okay.
the worst
Yeah.
ones.
We raise
Okay.
much less against a large bet.
And give us an overbet. Can he get us off a flush draw? I mean, not a jam, but you know,
I
start there.
fold
10,
here.
10, it hates the 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Must block bluffs.
Yeah.
I think
Yep.
that's probably what drives that.
I mean, that's true, but Jack 10 blocks the same bluffs. So I don't fully get it.
That's the only conclusion I can come to as to why.
Yeah, but
would
the
fold.
Jack 10 also has a gut shot to go with the flush draw.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh, right.
Jack
You're right,
nine-
Joey.
Jack nine
Yeah,
does. Jack nine plays
Right.
and it doesn't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's it.
Yeah, but it is the 10 because Jack 9 and 9-8 play and they don't have the combo draw. It hates tens.
All right, should I pass it back?
Hey,
Um,
going back to the fours,
Yeah.
being call or being indifferent. Let me talk this one out because I feel like I may have the reason. So it loves the fours without a spade or a diamond, the front or the back door, and it hates the fours when it has them. And when the ace comes on the turn, and when they bet, you're blocking their calling range of whatever ace X suited, right? So ace of diamonds, ace of spades. They're not going to have that ace, so that when they bet that ace, they're going to be more loaded with bluffs because they don't have the top pair.
Yeah, I see your point
We
there.
block both of those suited aces.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, you got a good point.
And
Yeah,
so
but
when,
here's my thought on it though. Suited aces with ace of diamonds or ace of spades should probably have c-bet. So we're blocking hands that they probably don't have. That's why I don't understand that on the turn.
Well, I think his point is that if we're blocking specifically the ace four of hearts, we're blocking the hand that he's repping. So he has a little bit less ace four of hearts.
Well, the
He
ace
has
of
a little
hearts
bit less
was on the turn.
suited
The-
ace hearts.
Yeah, the ace of hearts was on the turn, and we were blocking spades and diamonds. So they're not going to have either the ace four of hearts, the ace four of diamonds, or the ace four of spades.
He has one less combo of heart aces.
yeah, that's why we want to have the heart. I just wasn't, I didn't understand the second card, and now I think I do.
Yeah, I think you've got a
Why
good point there.
clubs. Okay, great, thank you. This comes up, this is the one that you always see that I never see. Because this specific issues come up before several times. All right. So here, we'll do another group of these, and I think we're going to be perfectly fine to lose this tool. All right, that was
What-
3. Who's up?
I think you need to share, right?
Oh, yeah, that would help. I'm not gonna make you Vanessa Selbst it and play it blind.
I'll step in if nobody wants to.
All right, you're up.
Okay, so the action is what?
We raised and he called from the big blind, and
and we
did
are in the low jack. Okay, I
the
see
low
it.
jack.
And he checked, so I'm going to check here. I would imagine we might be able to see bet from the low jack, but I'm checking this hand.
That works. Okay. He checked and we hit check. Good. It's happy with that. He bets small.
All right, so he probes on a king. I don't like his probe here when the king shows up, but I'm going to call this small bet.
Yep, I'm all with you. We have to call. We have third pair, and we still have a gut shot to go with it.
And I'm trying to determine if we could ever turn it into a bluff, and I say no.
No reason to.
And he's probably going to go big here. Yep. Okay.
200% pot. He does not muck around.
It's a fold to me.
Mucky solver.
All right. Folding third pair. He's happy with that.
Now you can hit,
Well played.
Yeah. Oh, when we hit the evaluation, we have that button too.
yeah, it can tell us what.
What our
So,
percents are.
yeah. So it likes to bet. On
The
the
flop. So decipher this. What are we looking on the flop?
Okay. So we'll read this and then we'll do it. We blocked the nut straight. Okay. I agree with this first sentence.
So now they're talking about river sizing.
Okay.
Didn't he bet bigger than 2/3 of the pot?
Yeah,
I thought he
two
bet,
hundred percent. All right.
yeah, so this is just wrong.
Yeah, this is wrong. At least if it could get larger than, yep.
I think the point's still kind of
Okay.
still basic premise,
It,
right?
it was a polarized, he did have a polarized range.
Yeah, he did. I just wanted to make sure
Right.
I wasn't going crazy
But you're
there
not going crazy.
for that
This
reason.
is- Yes, so, AI is not yet ready to take over the world. That doesn't mean it won't take over the world, it's just not ready to. All right. Now, the way this thing interprets is, we go here, it says that we chose to check, and it likes to bet 91% of the time, and it lets us study the range here. I don't think it's,
Okay. All right.
I don't think it's gonna do an AI tool. Let's just hit it here, and it gives us. Oh, maybe if it's taking this long, maybe it is gonna give us the AI answer.
I think it's probably from the database.
Oh, boy.
And I wonder if is that 9% across the global range or to your hand, your
is our
specific
hand.
hand?
This is our hand. Oh, look, it answers everything. Our hand is strong enough to bet for value against his calling range pre-flop. It sounds very intelligent. It misses the very important idea of where second pair is.
Yeah, and I know that the
It-
low jack versus the big blind is going to have the highest percentage of continuation betting. I just kind of
Yeah.
figured ace jack would be one of the hands that we might want to check back a lot.
Yeah, and here, I mean, it's saying that we have good equity against his range. We do, but so much of his range is drawing dead. We don't have great equity against his calling range. And then the positional advantage. So yeah, it likes a bet on the flop. On the turn after checking, it's just a pure call. Anything else is a mistake. And on the river, it does some calling. Mixes with the majority of folds, and that's sensible.
Anybody agree that ace jack is c betting 91% of the time on that flop?
Nope.
Oh, let's find out what,
You wanna compare and contrast?
yeah, let's compare and contrast, because this exists.
Alright,
Also, one of the things that they said I mean, I don't want to parse grammar, but they said in the coach, that it will, that a tiny bet will protect you against straight draws. I mean,
And
it
it will.
charges straight draws, but it's not going to protect you from straight draws. If they've got king 10 or, they're calling, of course.
Yes. Yep.
Wait, I just got back. What was the hand? Like,
Then
where
we
did
have
we
ace
open
jack.
from?
So
We have ace jack.
Oh, we opened low jack.
We raised in low jack, got called from the big blind. The flop, as you can see, was queen jack 8 rainbow. We checked, and the coach wanted us to c bet 90 or 80% of the time.
That's a range bet board.
Could be.
well, I'm ready when you are.
All right, good.
If you opened in position versus the big blind, 2 face cards is usually a range bet.
Alright, so let's find out. Yeah, we're gonna bet often here.
Yeah, we just
Often
own it.
and small. Look at our range advantage here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we own this board, so that is driving this behavior.
He checks his pocket jacks, which he checked behind in the big blind from the low jack.
Well, yeah, we still got some healthy checks, but we're gonna
Not
bet.
quite a range
So-
bet, but close enough.
Right. Every hand in range bets.
Yeah, everything bets.
Yeah.
And what's but let's look at the exact ace jack just for frequencies, just to compare the two.
And we had ace jack of clubs.
Are we at ace jacks clubs? Oh, sorry.
Jack club specifically. Okay, so this is, so there are
Pretty close.
yeah, the level of difference between the solver here, because the percentage difference where you, if two people were arguing over the percents, you would go fine, but this is a solver. So this is a very different solve. If 91 is very different than what we see here.
So he's betting. Check. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I was misreading it. Yeah, you're right. This is a lot different.
Yeah, that's a lot different. Okay,
Enough that we can confirm your theory that, guess what I'm gonna say? That's right. There is no GTO.
yes.
Anything else we should look at, or should we get back to the study?
Get back.
Let's get back. All right. Do we want to do any more with, have we had enough fun with the AI with this? Or do you want to go on and do some more of these?
One more?
Sure.
Now, well, is it really training? If the answers are spurious at best, is it really training?
No, it's really interesting. It's just, it's just, have we done enough interesting stuff already?
Yeah, if we're not
I-
learning and we can't take those results
Okay,
serious,
all right. Last one then.
Well, I know I learned on that last hand, I should be betting that ace jack more than I would normally,
Mhm.
for sure.
Because both of them, both trainers had it. All right. You got another, whoever did the last hand's got this one.
Share
Yeah.
screen.
Yeah. Oh, there's that.
I see your mouse right over Matthew's nose.
Right. There we go.
Okay, so hijack this. Ooh, what's going on here? Do we have a 3-bet pot?
We have a 3-bet pot.
We called in the hijack, I assume, to a 3-bet. A
And he
small
just
blind
bet.
3-bet.
And he
And he
bet big.
bet a third.
no, he bet 50%.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 50 a half. Okay. I'm calling these fives.
Yeah, I think we continue with the spade and fold
Yep.
without.
Yep. That's a good way to do that. Okay.
We got a lot of potential improvement here.
Yep. There we go.
That's one of them.
One of them. And he checks.
He checks. I like, ooh, boy. It only gives it, okay, so it gives us a small bet.
You go
Choice.
small, big, or check, or shove.
You got to shove. Hey, I got an idea. Don't shove.
This one I might be torn between betting and checking, and because we're gonna have a lot of dummy end here, I'm just gonna check behind here.
Me too. I'm going to check to realize.
And if he checks, I'm checking again.
Yeah. It's just win. Let's check to win and beat ace king.
Excellent, dude.
Excellent. And then
Most excellent.
here's its percentages. 100% call on the flop. It does 100% call, and we'll see if the in its analysis of this, we'll see if it mentions the suits, because that's what we decided. And yep, so that we've got that going. And on the turn,
You could also look at the range, right? So on the left, can you click on the after it?
Yeah.
After
After it-
look at this,
yeah.
you can click on the range and look at the range, right?
yeah. And here's the thing, the numbers here on the left, this is the number of points it gave you
Ah,
for your decision. All right, let's see. Given the size of the bet, 10 into a pot of 31, that's, so already this is wrong. Right? He bets 10 into a pot of 20.
yeah, you're
So
right.
I'll call, but is it right that we're getting 3 to 1 on
No,
the money now that it's there?
We have to call 10 into a pot of 31.5.
Okay. Yeah, that's what said it. So, and it is true, we are getting 3-1 though. So 25% equity, that's right. It doesn't mention the straight draw.
Backdoor draw.
It
Or
says
the line of spades.
we now have on the flop. Oh, right. Doesn't, that's backdoor. Oh, it does say backdoor flush and has a slim short or backdoor straight. It does mention those. Okay, so it does get this, it does notice this, the suits there. And the positional advantage it says on every hand. Oh, and it allows us to tell us whether it's got the whether it's got anything right. It allows us to train.
Give it some feedback.
Yeah, to give some feedback. That's adorable.
Do we wanna click on, can we click on the left
Yeah.
on flop? Can we click on the whole range? If you
Yeah,
go,
we
yeah,
can
right
click the
there.
range. Yep, and see what it does. So this
See
is,
what all the fives do.
yeah. And the trainer is right up the way we say.
Yeah.
Uh, It's folding. Right, we want to have a spade there. Yep,
Can you fix the colors? It did that thing again where it turned it white.
oh, yeah. Come on, don't do that. There we go. There it is. There's your absolute of how often you have it. You don't fold them much.
With no imposition raises.
No
Right.
raising.
Right. And the fours are a set. The
Yeah, I
threes
think
and
we have a distinctive nut advantage on this.
Yeah. these all follow what we expect them to. And sevens are enough. Sevens are just good enough to call, sevens and above.
Well, sevens also are a open-ended backdoor straight draw,
Right,
which is better than sixes, which is still a backdoor straight draw, but has to fill in the middle.
right. And fives, and you'll notice sixes does some calling with its suit without a spade. Not much, but it does some.
Yeah.
Fives does never.
And then on the turn, how often does it like us to actually bet our fives?
33% of the time.
He
Well, I
likes it.
think you had the right feeling. It seemed like you felt hand was indifferent. And I think that's what this Sabra's showing us.
I agree
That
with you.
It's right on the borderline of having showdown value versus having to turn it into a bluff.
And this, you get that, and this is perfect, that the jail thing that, you're marginally made. Oh, trumps your, draw. Characteristic.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, assuming a normal population of a loose passive player
Mm-hmm.
who we don't think will bet the turn often enough. They won't double barrel often enough. When these hands, like a hand like pocket fives, and it's indifferent after the check, how does his checking too often affect the indifference?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we need to look at his origin range, right? So how does loose passive's 3-bet range differ from solver? And I would argue it's much more linear.
Yeah, much more linear.
So if his origin range is more linear, I would lean more towards a check on turn.
I mean, also, I think we can kind of limit the range that bet flop check turn looks in a linear range looks a lot like ace king ace queen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is
Yeah.
more of a reason for you to bet the turn.
Right. He's drowning in offsuit combos, right?
His over pairs would be betting. Like
Yeah.
you're never get like ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, ace 10, things like that are never checking, or like, are checking this turn, but like kings, queens, aces, tens, they're all betting.
Right.
So just doing a little bit of hand reading here, right, in a 3-bet pot, if you don't bet small, I think you're leaving money on the table. And I understand the solver wants to check, but that's against somebody with a full range that actually has a strong protected checking range. Where, the loose passive does not have a strong checking range. They have a weaker checking range, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't protect it with anything strong.
Yep.
They bet those all the time. So
Yeah, I mean, you have to be really confident of that because if you do get check raised, you have to throw away your hand.
I wouldn't like, how big's the pot in this case? I wouldn't really care about throwing away my hand.
It's 42 at the time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
I
wants
really,
to bet 10.
yeah, I really wouldn't be, I wouldn't really be too sad about leaving that on the table, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And because the other thing is the player type that we're discussing is not check raise bluffing
Mhm.
at any reasonable frequency. So
Exactly.
they're check raise beating you and you're folding 6 outs, 2 of which are dirty and 4 of which are, are ignorant to a 4-liner.
Yeah, I have no problem letting this go if we get raised.
Yeah. Yeah.
This isn't one of those hard decision hands in the middle. If we get raised, we're like
Yeah.
stuck.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
not a fold if we get
Oh,
raised.
for sure. But obviously we don't realize our equity if for whatever reason they checked aces here.
Yeah.
I mean,
But if we're pretty confident they don't protect their range, which a loose, passive, unstudied player will not consider checking their range. They're going to bet when they think they have the best hand and check if they're not sure.
Right.
Sure. No, all I'm saying is we got to be really sure or quite confident that's the case in order to bet small here.
I mean,
And even if he does keep one combo of aces in, is that often enough? Like, that's not balanced in protecting his range. So even if he protects his range a little bit, but not at a balanced amount, is that enough to make you afraid to bet?
No.
no, probably not.
No.
I'm still betting, and like if I'm getting raised here, I'm still folding. Like,
Yep.
that's
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
and-
against population, we can probably bet the 5s here.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Joey, I think you nailed it when you asked the question, how does it change our indifference, right? Well, yeah, it definitely allows us to bet more often than 33% of the time.
So what hands is he what hands is he often checking, checking checking into us on the turn that we don't want to bet our 5s into? What other hands are we seeing? We're happy to bet them into all of his overcards. We're fine with
Wanna
betting.
pull up his range just for reference.
Well, I think a loose passive range might be like 7s and above. And like ace 10 suited and ace jack plus.
were we the 3-better, or theirs, or
Yeah,
were they?
Were
They threw-
they? They were.
I
I mean, it's not going to be a balanced 3-betting range. It's going to be linear.
Yeah.
don't know. The loose
And-
passives 3-bet queen jack or jack 10 suited.
Not typically.
Okay, then like ace jack, ace 10, ace 7.
I don't even think a standard loose passive player 3-bets king queen
Oh, okay. Like off or suited?
either.
Huh, weird.
I
So,
mean, I've seen some that didn't 3-bet ace king.
Yeah.
Because it's a drawing hand.
Fair enough.
right. But again,
Depends how
against
passive they are.
against that range that c-bets the flop and then checks the turn. I
He
think
has
that
pocket
I think the hand
sevens
sevens does it,
ace
which
king
we
and
don't want to
ace
bet
jack.
against. he's got some ace eight in there, even a loose passive, the ace eight suited.
No, a loose passive does not have ace eight.
Okay. In that case,
Yeah, it could be tens.
yeah, but
like-
and he's betting tens.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Is
We're gonna assume that he's betting almost all his tens, jacks, queens, kings, aces. The six doesn't scare him. It's not like the six is a scare card bringing in 5-7.
I
So,
mean, could it be
think
threes?
nothing.
Like, no,
What?
right? There's no
What?
way it's
Okay.
threes.
Alright, if we're talking about population too, you
Yeah.
also have to understand that they're just looking at their hand
Yeah.
and probably
Yeah.
not even considering that we might have 5-7 here.
So, yeah, the only hand that a loose passive player has here a lot that takes this line that we don't want to bet against looks like to me, yeah, it's pocket sevens, and I think there's some ace eight suited that might take this line. And I think that's enough that the adjustment of betting it goes up.
Yeah.
I'm
I
with you.
mean, guy could, but like also just to be fair, like, and turn this on its head a little bit to Scotty's credit of like ace eight is like, dude could have like, or person can have like a pre-flop chart of like their response to RFI up on their other screen and be like, oh, I see here that the small blind actually at some frequency 3 bits ace eight suited, so I'm gonna do it. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's like very valid. It's not like they're going off of their intention to 3-bet it, right?
Yeah.
But here's a statistic.
Uh-huh.
80% of the players have not studied.
That's fair. Okay.
So 80% of your opponents might not even know what a pre-flop chart is.
I would say it depends on the field that you pick. For example, like like Bovada or Ignition or stuff like that. I could definitely see that. But like you look at like the GG like Zoom Cash or GG Cash like pool in
Well,
general, it's a
Zoom,
lot.
the Zoom pool tends to have better players.
Yes.
I wouldn't have the same assumptions in a Zoom pool.
Okay, that's fair. But I'm just using overall of like what
Hang on, Scotty.
population actually means.
I want to ask another question now about this hand. So we check behind, and we faced a check on the river. I'm wondering if we face a bet on the river, what we do with our pocket fives.
I think that we do
I
not
think
have,
that's an easy fold.
and I
Like,
think we don't have the option to look it up.
like even to like a block bet.
Oh, we're calling a block bet. There's no
we're
way.
in position. There's no such thing as a block bet in position.
No,
No,
he
they
block bet.
bet.
Oh,
He's
They-
we're facing a block bet.
Yeah, well, I don't see why we would fold to a block. That doesn't make any sense. We
fourth
block.
pair on a board. Do they ever have 7-10?
We block that with our hand, right? We have
They don't have
sevens.
they don't have 7-10 in this line.
Oh wait, we
Yeah.
have fives. My bad. No.
With the flush coming in and us having fourth pair, I really believe we can just fold.
And we have a spade. And we have a 5 of spades.
If we were close to indifferent, I would think the 5 of spades that we would call with a 5 of, we would call with a 5 of spades and fold without the 5 of spades. If we were looking for a 50-50 indifference, not a 50,
What-
not 50.
What's your thinking behind that?
That with the 5 of spades, we block ace 5 of spades.
It's not a lot of block.
But then to
Nope.
consider that it's blocking, you have to know that your opponent
Has it.
has ace 5 of spades in range.
And
A
of
lot of our
all the
opponents
suited
won't.
aces that you get 3-bet against population, granted that much of population doesn't study, but of those who study a little bit, ace 5 of spades is in there.
Yes, I would agree
Ace
with
5
that.
of spades is a common
Okay.
bet hand.
I agree
Anybody
with that,
who's
but
done
is that
any s-
enough?
Any study on a solver knows the 3-bet ace-5 suited.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Derek, I mean, the question of, I mean, so blockers are important in equilibrium, which is obviously what the solver is. It's a razor's edge strategy.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
you
it
can
is-
make,
it-
you can
it
make the
can be
argument in population, blockers are less important.
It's so blockers should not influence your end all be all decisions when playing at this stake. You should not even be considering them. Like it should be out the window. You just evaluate the hand based off of the action and the hand reading. But as said before, like blockers in equilibrium, perfectly relevant.
Okay.
However, it's not as how do I phrase this? The relevance of blockers in equilibrium are still part of a minutia, especially when it comes to like nutted bets, because like this, a lot of the things that we would be quote unquote blocking in this case are out of range, right? Like
Yeah.
unless
Yeah.
villain's an absolute maniac betting 10-7 suited, which like I mean like I would do in a tournament, but like obviously in in cash, I'm definitely not doing this.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's a lot different.
I
But
mean, you
like
have a valid point about blockers and how
Mhm.
they are less relevant with humans and with lower stakes. But it's a
Yep.
tough leap for us because our primary study tool is solvers. And
sure,
solvers is often making its decisions around blockers.
but
So
under
we're kind
so-
of in a tough spot, right? Because our primary tool for studying is solver, which is at equilibrium. But so we learn about blockers, but you have a very good point.
So-
I think that you very
I
well.
honestly think that maybe then we need to have discussions like this a lot more often than we do.
So I think one of the biggest things about solvers in theory and GTO in general is that so there's no I think Jonathan Little said it. Or wait, no, it wasn't Jonathan Little. But anyway, so there's a person that once said that there's no bad time to play good poker. I think against a study or an individual in general, when you play in a generalized pool, depending on how soft the pool is, you don't give them any respect, right? And you overfold in a lot of the situations, which that's considered exploitative, right? So that now we're talking about exploitative play. But in theory, you should be playing around in theory and around accordance to theory and ranging people within theory until they give you a reason to not, right? And those are what you build those population tells. So if you play at a reg table, like you're going to be able to tell very quickly of who's playing in accordance to theory and who is not. If you're playing in a Zoom pool, it's going to be a lot harder because it's going to be a larger sample size. The main reason of why theory is really good to understand and cache theory is really good to understand is because it allows us to create exploits later on for the application of those exploits based upon what we know about other people that play within theory. Against fish, it's a very different, or the rec, I should say, it's a lot different, right? Because you have to create exploitative strategy based off of theory and what you know. And those come from like different sides of the game tree, which is like mass data analysis and all this other stuff. I don't want to like go too much off on a tangent on this and take away Scotty's instruction time, but like
oh,
Can
I don't instruct. I'm just the guy who paid for Zoom.
Gotcha. The too long didn't read it. The too long didn't read it. What I'm trying to say is there are exploits that can be utilized against population in certain pools, which is overfolding. Once you get to a certain buy-in limit, which I guess would be like NL 500, you can start worrying about like your the more higher end theory stuff, like check raising third pair on a flush board, on a dynamic board, right? Stuff like that you can use, like that.
And-
Those are the kind of things that you have to apply to your game.
Can I just counter that for a second?
Sure.
I was a coach. I have not coached since I got sick in COVID, but I did coach for 5 years before COVID.
Really, I had no
Um,
idea.
Oh
Go
yeah,
on.
I
Yeah.
Jonathan wanted me to do videos for the site.
Oh, cool. Okay, go on.
I had to. All right, so I used to believe that we should go into every game using GTO first. But in the last year, when I switched over to cash exclusively, I have changed that thinking because say you're even playing 9-handed, say you're live where you're 9 or 10-handed. 1 or 2 players might be decent, but the other 7 are not. And in general, the larger part of the population of the other 7 is loose passive.
I agree 100% with that.
So I think the best way to start is to assume everyone is loose passive and exploit by overfolding, and then go move towards GTO as they show you different.
I agree 100% with that. At least with the player pool that I play with.
Sure. And
Yeah, he just described your player pool, didn't he?
Say that
Pardon
again?
me?
I was saying he just described Derek's player pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
So I
player
think-
pool is like roulette players, ideally.
So
so
the
I
one-
think. Oh, go ahead, Scotty.
I was just gonna say, so the one thing I would disagree about the value of blockers is this. If you look at the things like suit blockers in this solver, then you're gonna get some results that are not very applicable to population. But the insight from that will apply as long as the hand that you're looking at blocking, you say they would play this way. So my example here is, if you say that fives are, that you're in a population where you're even considering calling fives here on the river. If you're not, you're folding all the fives, okay? If you are saying, I don't know whether I want to call fives here against, against population or even against this individual player, and now I have to decide which I want to do with the fives. There are only 2 things that make sense to look at there. Live tells or online, the timing tell, which I don't love the timing tell online, but okay. And if you don't have either of those, the next best thing to look at is the blocker properties of the hand. And then say to yourself in this example, okay, I block spades. Do I block any meaningful spades that he would have, to block that he would have here? You go, well, one of his flushes, one of his value hands is ace 5 suited. I've taken one value hand out of his range now. And I'm saying that I'm indifferent. I've started with I'm not sure. So a perfectly good analysis there was, with these fives, I'll only do it if I have the 5 of spades, because at least I take one combo out because I have no other information. So that's mine. What do you think of that?
I think that the situation where you're blocking flushes is one of the more important situations where blockers are important.
I think that's important if you have the ace or the king of spades here.
Where I
But you
block
have
a lot.
where you block a ton. I don't think it matters as much with the 5 of spades.
Okay.
So like if we were playing Pilo, right? I'm just using this as an example, and I had 3 spades in my hand. I'm going to think that it's very unlikely for my opponent that has one or that,
Yeah.
could have potentially the nut flush here.
Yeah.
Like that's because I have more cards, right? But
Mhm.
in this case, like I don't have the key card that is blocking the rest of it. So it's like the same reason why people go for these like outlandish bluffs with just like the ace, or of like somebody would go with an outlandish bluff of like the ace spades here, right? Like on the river. Or they'll check raise like the value bet, and then they'll get jammed on, and they'll call like silly because they have the ace of spades in their hand. So like situations like that makes a lot more sense for blockers. But it's just a 5, man. Like it's not a king, it's not an ace.
So in this case, if this case, let's give me the ace. I can't have the ace 4 offsuit here. I would have folded it already.
Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't, I can't find a hand here where I have the ace of spades and a small pair that I can play, that this question comes up. Okay, that's enough time on this, unless anybody else has something important.
So the short answer is we fold fives to a block bet.
Yeah, yeah, that's
The long answer is that we fold fives to a block bet.
The long
again,
answer is I play a super exploitable style.
right, okay,
Well, I have a multi-way
do it.
tragedy in 2x if we want to see it.
great. All right, thank you very much, DTO. And the nice thing I want to say about DTO before we close the window forever is, boy, their tech support was so nice. Thank you, Dom at DTO. All right,
One
Yeah,
thing that
Thanks, Dom.
thanks, Dom. Okay,
one thing that struck me about DTO is that when I saw what their AI coach said, I thought, is my poker really that bad? Do I have no idea what I'm doing? Did anyone else feel that way? Like you
no,
get, like something like I don't think like that.
no, I looked at it and said, boy, it's not hard to sound intelligent, whether we're saying it right or not.
So
No,
artificial
Derek, I
stupidity
do-
has been achieved, is what
Yeah.
you're saying.
Yeah,
Derek, I do think like that, and eventually you want to be able to start thinking like that. But it will just take hours and hours and hours and hours just
Okay,
to study
I
to
don't
get
think
there.
like you do.
Yeah.
Probably because I'm much more casual player. So
I
you think it's valid? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, of course.
Okay, because that wasn't what came up into my brain.
no, some of what the AI is saying is not valid. Some of it is. The reasoning that we're applying to it, I think is, all of this, I think is valuable. I think it's valuable at every stake.
Oh yeah, I get a lot out of these.
One thing that I think is valuable, I don't want to plug other sites, but I also subscribe to Solve for Why, and they have their Poker Out Loud series where the players explain everything they're thinking before they move. And they're top pros, and man, they think about stuff so much more deeply than I do. That's one where I look at it and I'm like, man, I really do suck at poker.
Those are really good
That- that-
sessions. I
that-
agree.
That's what I think during these sessions, which is good, right? It's good to be the dumbest person in the room.
Oh,
Because
there's
you
a
learn the
really nice
most.
I'll post a Phil Galfond link, which is just about this. It's really nice. It's a little 20-minute talk of his, where he says what he thinks about during a hand, the top 5 things he thinks about during a hand, and because he's Phil Galfond, he gives you 6.
Okay.
So start the hand here and I'll post this.
Okay.
exactly that.
So multi-way tragedy in 2x. This is first act. We've got ace queen suited playing
Any thoughts?
full ring. We've got 3 flatters. What are you guys doing here?
I think we can flat this one.
I'm squeezing to like, I don't
I'm-
know, like 25.
I'm-
Like,
Yeah, about 23.
I
Scotty,
changed my play, so I'm always 3-betting or folding.
can we look at that video when we're done and you stop the record?
Sure.
Okay, yeah, so I think yeah, this is a squeeze to me. I think I should have gone a little bit bigger. So like 15, I think it's 15 plus 1, so like
18, 19
19, 20.
plus 22. So it's got to be 20. 22 is the minimum.
Yeah, so I went a little bit small here, probably.
I-
I like your larger size.
I'd
That's my
err
first
on
question.
going larger. I'd
Yeah.
go
What,
like
Eric?
30. I'm
Okay,
going
you're
30 here all
you're
day.
bombing it. Okay.
Because
so
I'm happy to play for stacks here.
I mean, this is
oh,
an unusual,
Yeah,
this is an unusual spot with this many flatters. So
I mean-
it's kind of a weird spot, but I could see 25.
I'd
And-
see at
and-
least 30.
and everybody,
I'm jam.
everybody-
Why are we not jamming here?
Because 30 is the same as stacks.
so
Most
hold
people
on.
don't know that.
Hold on,
Whoa,
hold on.
whoa,
Hold on.
1 second.
Yeah.
The reason why we're not jamming is because ace queen is not the hand that we want to jam 90 or 100 big blinds with. Ace queen suited is like, you can jam it as a 4-bet bluff or something, stuff like that, but this is like, this is not the kind of hand that you're going to want to play for stacks with. There's a lot of ace king. There are a lot of pairs that you're flipping at best against. I'd rather take this post, if possible, at a higher price. Now, I wanted to, like, the sizing of 30 is like, it's interesting, right? Because you don't mind playing for stacks with your ace queen, which I think is like absolutely okay.
I want to
However,
play the highest variance
Derek, hold on,
style I
Derek.
can.
Derek, hold on for
So-
a second. Let him finish first.
yeah,
ahead.
so the thing about ace queen that's interesting is that, like, it's not ace king, right? Like, you're not you unblock a lot of the king X, so it essentially call you. So now we're isolating ourselves to a raise that size, to either a strong pair or ace king. But ace king is normally going to 4-bit jam it in your mouth if you go for 30. So, like, you know, you're just isolating yourself to infinitely better hands when you take this extremely large size. I think 20, 25, like 20 is like okay, but you're gonna give a better price to everybody else that has already committed 3 chips. That's why I said 25, is because now you get a larger sizing out of this. So I think the squeeze is going to be better on the larger side than it is going to be
Yeah.
on the smaller.
Yeah, I think 21 to 25 is about the right size.
Yeah.
And look, I know everybody's all about squeezing with this hand in the small blind versus an early position raise. I think this is a hand that we can actually flat here and play against probably, what do we got? The original raiser plus 1, 2, 3 other weaker players with a pretty decent hand that will probably play decently post flop. Like, even I know, like in a solver, this is gonna get flatted a lot in the small blind to an early position raise. Even queens get flatted a lot
Yeah.
to an early position raise.
But we're never able to look at a 5-way pot by the time it gets to us.
No, I'm not saying that we are going to be able to study the spot with our 2 choices, but I don't know why we're not considering just kind of flatting here for 2.5
Mike,
big blinds.
I mean, my
If-
argument would be that it's about equity denial, right? So if we, I mean, our goal is to get this hand heads up. And so,
Yes.
yeah, I think the argument for not flatting is just equity denial.
All right.
I
that
think,
is
yeah, I
not-
think, go ahead, Joey, sorry.
Equity denial is not quite the right answer. Let me explain it. If you get this heads up, our hand has top pair value plus its draw for the flush value. If we let it go 5 ways, our hand no longer has pair value. Because,
Is that because our equity's less? 5 ways?
well,
Yes,
one pair does not win 5-way pots.
yes.
Yeah, so equity now I think is the appropriate term. I mean, we don't have to get into semantics, but we are folding out all these hands with equity against us 4. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it's an issue of terms, right? It's
Yeah,
just
I'm hearing you guys saying the
definitions.
same thing. I think you're both saying the same thing in different ways.
So I like
Does
the bigger size. I think that's a really good recommendation, which is why you and I bring these pots.
Right,
Does your
before
pool-
going on with it, Derek, there was something you wanted to say there. Let's let
Does your
Derek
pool fold for 20?
say what?
Like, are you getting your equity denied? Because my pool doesn't fold.
Well, this pull did not fold, as you'll see.
Okay. Okay.
So, but
Like,
I think,
I don't know your player pool, but my player
Yeah.
pool doesn't fold for 20.
I mean, this is really an unusual spot to have this many flats.
But even if they don't, I mean, he's off by 1 big blind at the most for minimum sizing. Even if
Yeah.
they don't, if they call this large a bet with weaker hands, you will benefit in the end.
Yeah,
Right.
if you ran this 100 times, I would. So,
Right.
all right, we'll go on. So,
I want to point out before we go on
Okay,
that
sure.
what I think is important is the small stack size of the initial raiser, who's the player who has the strongest range. So
Yeah,
if we
that's valid.
raise to 20, 21, 22, and that player calls or raises all in, then other people behind are incentivized to call because the bet's relatively small and the pot odds get better. So and so we're going to wind up, we could wind up in a situation where we're three-way, four-way out of position with a player who's already all in or virtually all in. And that's why for me, I want to jam or I want to call. I don't like 20 at all.
No,
For my player
I think
pool,
20's perfect actually then, because it's a raise of 17. If he shoves, that's a raise of another raise of 17, reopens the action.
Yeah,
Anybody else comes along, then we can shove.
then we're
yeah.
5-betting. Yeah, okay. That's a very astute.
It's perfect for that. It's
17 more, another 17 more. Let's play for stacks.
so
Well,
here's
watch what happens, guys.
so before you go on,
Okay.
with it, because I love this pre-flop spot here.
Yeah.
The people who are advocating for the 20, 22, 25, even 30, assume that player 37, I'm sorry, assume the guy with 37 who started with 40 big blinds had 100. If he jammed on us, if he jams, everybody else folds, do we want to call off our ace queen for a jam against his jamming range? And I would think it's pretty dicey and I wouldn't mind folding it.
That's a no.
Okay.
Hard no for me.
Hard no as in you're calling or hard no you're folding?
Hard no is in a folding.
You're folding. Okay. So that's why, so that's an argument to me for not jamming there, because the same hands in general that he's going to 4-bet jam over you, he's calling your jam with, and they're the hands you do not want to be against. So given that we're folding it to his jam when we're full stacked, then that's my reason for going 22, 23, 25 rather than 30 or more. The reason for not calling behind, and ace queen is a perfectly fine hand, and even out of position, multi-way ace queen suited is a pretty good hand to take here, is the GTO understanding that we've learned, which is not just you can't analyze the hand, which is after there are 3 calls, there isn't a 4th call. There is a raise or fold. They're saying you don't want to be in these massive multi-way pots, even with the hands that we think would do well. You do better by raising and killing and getting this dead money here and denying their equity. So that
So
would be
I do have a flooding range
raising.
here, but it's not gonna be this
Yeah.
region. It's gonna be hands with implied odds, right? So it's
Right.
gonna be some low suited connectors and some middle pairs.
and
So, I will go against what Solver says here with
Mm-hmm.
some portion of my range. But I think this
I
portion of
understand.
the range definitely wants to squeeze.
And then my last question is this before we go on. Given what Joey said, I think 20 is a perfect bet here if we want to do this. If we go to 20 and the 37 big blinds left jams and everybody else folds, we are calling, right? For
Oh,
that side,
definitely.
calling. No question. Good.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No
If
question.
he calls and we get even one caller behind, do you want to rejam pre against that guy?
Oh, yeah.
If you do, then this 20 is a perfect size.
Yeah. I changed my mind. 20's perfect size.
Yeah.
You convinced
You-
me.
Yeah. So
right.
it's your hand, Larry. Do you, if it had gone that way, you get a jam from the shorter stack and one call behind. Do you want to over jam now?
So if player 3946 shoved,
Yeah.
his additional 17 big blinds,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a flat behind,
Yes. Do you want to jam on that flat?
that's a really good question.
If
So let me see, so 37 plus another. So the pot is like gonna be around 60, 70.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have a little less than pot left. I think our pot odds, our pot odds are 33%. So I think we jam with 33% equity.
Larry, let me share the screen real quick.
Sure.
I have new information.
Now, if we
Would
do,
anybody believe this is a fold?
Yes.
Yeah,
But-
yeah. So I was gonna say, there you definitely have folds here.
The only thing I could not replicate in this is a call from the button as well. But this is our range in the small blind.
With
Ace
one-
queen suited mostly folds,
Mhm.
Wow.
What? What
but
are you
there's
looking at?
no
Well-
calling at all in range.
I think the biggest thing that this sim can't replicate is that the original Razor stack is broken.
Yeah.
That's correct.
He doesn't have.
But does that mean we fold even more?
Wait, can you change the stacked up size to, no, you can't, right? You can't make it lower. I was gonna say, if we can change the effective stack to essentially 30, then like you
Well-
would be able to replicate this.
We
Yeah.
If we
can,
change the stack depth to 30, we're gonna wanna be in this hand more. Because
Exactly.
the reverse implieds of ace queen go down.
well,
Mhm.
you can
I'll
go,
get that.
GTO Wizard has a 30. However, the
It-
problem is you won't get calls.
We're
in the
not gonna get
GTO
massive
Wizard.
multi-way like that.
It's,
So-
we're at 40, not 30, and this one would not be the worst thing to do in an MTT solver. If
I
any-
was gonna say, does anybody have, actually, if you send me the hand, I can run it into like HRC or something like that later
Alright.
and see if I can get like an actual result
Okay.
and put it in.
That would be
So-
awesome.
So what you're
Sure.
saying, Joey, is that the solver
in
says
chat.
don't call it.
What we
Huh?
need,
Fold it or like
Well-
this totally blows my mind.
yeah,
The
thing-
solvers never call. Whenever, and even it does this even in MTT. And I had one study session in our MTT group with the guy who wrote Modern Poker Theory. What's his name? Carlos?
Michael Acevedo.
Michael Acevedo. And we specifically asked him that question. Is that something that is just programmed into the solvers to not let the fourth person call? And he said, no, the solvers will not allow that on their own. So there has to be a very valid reason why once there's two other callers, you're not allowed to call anymore.
Oh, okay.
yeah, that was the thing that we started with
Hmm.
was there are these hands that you really want to. You just go, oh, but it just makes so much sense. And we start with the thing that, well, the solver won't let you do it. That doesn't mean we're not gonna make the exploit to change it. But be aware of that.
So the calling range, according to the solver, is no hands.
Yes, yes.
Here. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
Yeah,
So
and not just because you're out of position. It's not the small blind, even on the button, after it's gone raise, call, the fourth person in, the fifth person in, anything that has no calls left.
like one thing I changed my game is that since Joey told me don't call, just 3-bet.
Yeah.
I have like a ton of variance, which I'm totally fine with, but my win
Yep.
rate has gone up significantly.
Good,
Yeah.
good.
That makes sense.
So in my player pool, I'm now thought of as an idiot, which is great, you know.
Right.
So,
Yep.
Right.
You know, like so. And the other thing that helps is that it's really nice to have 400 big blinds or more when you're playing against idiots, because then you can just use your time to just go to the table that has people with 400 big blinds, and then you're playing 400 big blind poker at 1-3.
Yep.
Mhm.
So people who would never think of playing 5-10 will sit at their 1-3 table with $2,000.
So let's, before we move on to this one, because we're definitely moving on and going on.
Yeah.
The last thing I wanted to say about the raise size is if you make the decision, and I think the time to make that decision is before you make the raise size, if you see all this, that first of all, I'm going to call the initial raiser if he jams on me at this stack depth.
Yeah.
And I want to rejam over anybody else. Then 20 is perfect. If you
Hang
don't
on.
jam, no, this is the thing, is make this decision first. If you don't want to rejam over, don't bet 20, bet a little more. That's my point. You're about to say,
Right.
Matt?
Yeah, I was going to make another. I'm more convinced than ever that jamming is right here. And the reason is with
Yeah.
the scenario you just described, if you're planning on rejamming, so if it goes, you raise 20, player 3946 goes all in for 37, the whatever that middle position player 0647 calls and you're going to rejam over him, you don't have fold equity. He's getting 3-1. He's going to call. So if he made this call with a pair of 8s, or something like that, which is very reasonable. That's probably what he's got to flat call the raise. He's got a middle pair. So then it's going to come back to him and he's like, well, I'm getting such great odds with my middle pair. I call it off. You're behind. Whereas if you jammed before, he would have folded that pair. And your range is so, and your chances of your equity so much higher.
Okay, Joey?
I disagree, Matt. You're, and I think I pointed this out in the forums. I don't know specifically to you, but we are inputting poker theory into our opponent's heads. Yes,
Right.
if he has like pocket 7s here, he should fold to a shove. But in population, that's not what really happens.
Yeah, my population thinks that 5 bets is always aces.
Do you think that, wait a minute, Joey, you think if you just jam here, he calls you with 7s, 8s, 9s?
There are certain people that will call you with 7s, 8s, and 9s.
They should. That's a thing in tournaments too. Absolutely.
I think there's a lot of folding
I-
with 7, 8s, 9s.
There should be.
Joey,
Theoretically, there
should
should be.
Scotty, there
Do you-
should be. I'm not saying it's theoretically correct.
No,
Exactly.
But
No,
I
I'm
think
saying, I think in the wild, there is a lot of folding. I mean, there is a lot of opponents folding.
But let me ask you this. Do you think it's more likely that player 0647 folds their 7s, 8s, 9s to a jam pre or to this raise, all in, call, you rejam, and then it gets back to them?
I think your
It's about the
is perfectly right. I think they fold more to the jam followed by the 39-46 call or fold than they do to the once they've called his raise. If they do, they're not folding.
They're
to
not
your-
going anywhere.
I mean,
They're in.
I think it works out to
I
be
think-
the same thing with both lines.
to be honestly, there's no way I will ever agree with a jam here. I just think that's so bad. And like, we're not 37 big blinds effective. Just because the first raiser has 37 big blinds, we are 100 big blinds effective. And I'm not shoving ace queen suited 5 ways.
I'm with you, Joey. Like, that's why I wanted to get squeezed. And then if I get rejammed on by the initial raiser, because like the only person, okay, I just want to throw this out there, okay? The only person in this hand in this configuration who actually has a hand is like open raiser and the guy who's squeezed. Everybody else has like middling garbage, okay? So when you isolate, I mean, so when I go ahead and squeeze, I'm hoping to only get it heads up. If there is somebody that rejams, our ace queen is folding. Like, it's not even close.
And that one person that's going to call you is going to have pocket 7s, he's going to have pocket 8s, he's going to have pocket 9s, and you're going to be more or less happy with your equity there. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
like
And
that.
also,
One
we're putting a very tight range on these weak players. Like, we have a broken stack on the button.
Mhm.
Yesterday,
He's not
we
folding.
have seen a broken stack call with 4-3 off. I
Okay.
think just limiting them to middle pairs is ranging them way, 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 way too tight.
Sure, but your ace queen suited is still going to be way ahead of their range, even if that's
Right.
the case.
So Greg, I had one question for you. When
Yep.
you're folding to any rejam, got that. But in this specific configuration, are you folding to the under the gun re-raise, given that it's only 17 more?
Probably not to him, but
Right,
like
okay, great.
I would. I mean, but like any position behind me is going to be stronger, right? And which is there's only one, which is 6-2-2-5.
Mhm.
Which if he jams, I'm gone, man. Like we
Oh,
out.
He's gone. And also if player, I don't love seeing a jam specifically from player 2.
Sure.
Because he's the other one who I wouldn't be surprised has a stronger range than we're discussing sometimes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, you could flat.
Yeah,
You
no,
could
I think
flat
we're-
kings. It's terrible, but like it's still possible.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
Yeah.
so let's
We're all
go.
in agreement. We call the rejam except by, excuse me, we fold to a rejam except from a broken stack, in which case we call. to the
Yeah,
odds of
I
50.
agree with that. I
Okay.
think that makes sense.
So
Okay.
if this hand
Larry,
has
to the
resulted
flop.
in this much conversation, we're gonna spend the whole 3 hours talking about this hand as it moves forward, because it's gonna get
Uh,
more interesting.
Yay.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't think we need to rehash this. Nobody.
That was a joke. That was humor. That was humorous aside.
Okay,
Okay, should we move on?
to the flop.
Okay, so. 1. Okay. 2.
Go,
Now,
Okay.
now they're all
go.
coming along. Now
And
they're all coming.
3. Okay, now,
So many flops you're just going to be
ladies
now
and
there's-
gentlemen,
overjamming
we've
here.
got the partial bet rule.
Does
So-
global allow half bets to reopen the pot?
This is a partial bet rule is in fact.
W-
So,
Okay.
so all we
what's-
can do
I
is
don't
call
think
or
so,
fold.
Joey. I don't think they do.
Now, this is partial bet rule. We now can only call or fold.
Yeah,
Cannot
yeah.
rejam.
Yep.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we call.
Everybody's
Feed 'em
seeing
into
this
the
flop.
pot.
So our
Yeah.
pot odds are 10%. We're not going anywhere. right?
No, he was the other guy we weren't folding to. We didn't say it out loud, but yes.
Yes.
So unfortunately, it wasn't this guy who would have.
Wait,
not
it doesn't give you a chance to rejam here? You
No.
have to call this 12?
you
Oh, that should
cannot-
give you a rejam option, shouldn't it?
No, it's the partial bet rule.
Oh, okay. I thought that still
His-
fell
his
underneath. Okay,
bet
no, I
was-
gotcha. I gotcha.
It has to
I'm
be
with you.
17.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm with you. Moving on.
All right,
Sorry.
so, we call, obviously, this guy calls,
5, 6,
this guy
7.
calls. We get this, so we miss. So our pot odds are really weird now, right?
We just have
So
to
what are you guys doing here?
just check.
Check. Easy check.
Okay, we're all agreeing we missed for 5 ways.
Yeah.
We're
Yep.
just check. Even
Yep.
though our
100%
SPR is
check.
now essentially 3
Whatever.
or
Whatever.
less than 3, 2.7 or whatever.
Whatever.
So this guy shoves. This guy shoves.
You just fold.
We fold. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Perfect.
crazy hands, right? These guys are, we are on a hand, we are on a table of maniacs. So keep in mind position of this player. 1, 2, 3 to my left, right?
He's the
So
one who's
he's 3
face
to my
nine.
left, and now we're gonna move quickly to act 2 of this.
I wasn't
tragedy
quite
of two
ready for
floors.
that reveal. That was rather surprising, but
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
I'll
But
take it. Like, wow.
this guy is like, I'm bluffing. This guy's, I got top pair. Oh, and I'll give you the result. Sorry. And this guy, luck boxes it. All right. So that is hand 1 in a tragedy in 2 parts.
If they
Well-
had turned up their hands face up, I think, does ace queen have the right equity to call if you know that both your ace and your queen are good?
On
Like,
what
we-
flop?
I mean, we could put it in, that's a good question. We
It's
could
real
put it,
quick.
obviously we could put an equal out or something, but
No, just to throw it in, I mean,
Sorry, are you talking on flop or is that pre
how about
still?
on flop, they all turn their hands face up. Once
Yeah.
he turns his hand face up and he shows you he's got a jack.
You're definitely good. Oh, shit. Okay. No, you know what? That's gonna be borderline.
do we
5
want to
out.
put it in equal
Once
out?
that
I could put it in
turn-
equal out
No,
if you want.
20%. No, it's easy, but we have 5 outs, we're about 20% to make it to the river and win.
I mean, it's obvious on turn. I think
And-
it's a lot closer on flop.
Right. I think, yeah. To put it, we're putting in less than 20%, 60 big blinds for a pot of, at that point, 300, is that right?
I mean, I will say if I know every other player's hand here, I am calling with ace queen, even with the jack 9. I think I have
I
enough
just wanted to
equity.
look at it for fun.
I think that's probably right. I mean, it's a math problem, but of course it's,
Yeah,
not terribly valuable because you'd never know that.
No.
No, I think
No,
you have
we
enough
can't- we
though.
can't do it.
I
But
think
yeah,
you're good.
The answer is when he called, so 16 to 300 is 30 times 5 is 20%. Oh, it's the same 20%. Right? 60,
20%.
It would be less
20%
than
is
20
good
though.
enough all the day.
60 is. How can I not do this in my head? 60 is 20% of 300, right? No, Yes, 60 times 5, yes. And our hand has about 20%. It's about equal. That's all. Just saying. All
So
right.
we're about,
Good.
coin flip here is the argument for the
Yeah.
pot odds we're being.
Yeah, for the pot odds you're being given, and unlike all the other times that we say it, you actually get to realize your full pot odds because everybody's all in. But you shouldn't, because you could so easily be against a 2-pair here, even though the 2 pairs don't make sense. You could be easily against a set with this many players.
Yeah, this feels like a set
Done.
from player 2892.
Yeah, you're just done.
But yeah. Alright, part 2.
Right, part 2.
Alright, so now we've got this guy with 300 big blinds, right?
Mhm.
I think you guys may not like, so I wanna play with this guy and I wanna play with this guy, because clearly. So this
No.
21 big blinds, I think this is a limp behind hand in this situation. I'm gonna fold a lot, but I don't think I'm gonna fold at this table.
No,
Remember
no.
what I said about targeting fish with broken stacks?
Freddie, the other one's not broken.
Well, he's not
We
the
like
only
this
one that's
small
gonna
blind.
be in this.
Okay, what
hand.
did you say about targeting fish with broken stacks?
If they don't have a lot to win, it's not worth playing a hand you wouldn't normally play just to play against them.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think there's other. I mean, there's this maniac behind, right?
Yeah.
So, so obviously now this guy is ISO to a very small size.
You can't fold,
Yeah, we're not gonna fold.
or you shouldn't fold there.
When we hit bingo, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we check, so this is, let me look at this real quick. So where is the big blind here? So he's in the small blind, so he's the ISO in the small blind. So ignore the dealer button, that doesn't mean anything here, it's broken.
Why does Global do that?
It's just a bug. So he pots it, right?
Yep.
After he ISO'd. This guy pots for whatever reason. What are you guys doing here?
Raise.
Raise.
Oh, man.
I like,
Hold
It would
on.
be a raise
It's a
if he
mix.
bet 3,
Let's
but I think when
let's
you
talk
bet so
about this
large, you
real
don't raise as much.
So let's talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. When we raise, what hands is he calling with?
A ton.
yeah, a lot.
He's calling with just 110?
So
Or is
he
he
is
calling-
implying
Absolutely,
he
and
loves his hand.
draws. He's calling with draws, bro.
Oh, okay.
sure.
Okay, wait, hold on. So we're isolating ourselves to flush draws, top pair, and sets, right?
Straight
Over
draws.
pairs.
And
I think-
overs, and over cards too.
I think you're getting calls from ace 9, ace 9 of diamonds here. Ace 9 with a single club, I think, from him.
Okay. So if you have a flush draw, do you if your opponent has a flush draw, they're still calling even if you raise, right?
Mhm.
They're still calling if you raise. So what would be the point of inflating the pot?
Getting,
You're
From
gonna
that
get
part-
paid. They're gonna pay you.
Oh, okay. So I would agree if this was a single pot, a single a single, like if this was heads up, sure, I'm with you.
Well,
Like,
we can make the argument it's heads up. 2319 has 9 big blinds behind, so he doesn't really matter anymore.
Mhm.
I'm just trying to I'm just trying to make it so, like, normally, like in this spot, I I am very hard pressed to raise.
Well,
our
I
hand-
run.
oh, hold
Oh,
on,
go ahead.
let him finish, let him finish.
So
I'm sorry.
so like our hand is I find it very hard for us to raise. So the only reason why is we don't block clubs, right? So the idea of our opponent like us blocking the draw would make it feel a lot better. Like we don't block the backdoor flush draw either. So that makes me feel a little bit worse as well. And the reason why I say this is because in the inevitability that it does hit, we're gonna have we are essentially we're inflating a pot that we know that most likely we're going to have to fold some turns to. I'm not saying all turns, right?
Mhm.
But like overinflating this pot multi-way, we're gonna just end up playing for a stack against the guy who might hit his draw, and that just doesn't feel okay.
Well, I
Like-
mean, let's look at it this way. So,
Why does that not
well,
feel okay?
Derek,
I
let me
don't-
just make a point real quick if I could, sorry. So, first point is 2319 doesn't matter.
Yeah, sure. He's out. Like he's
Okay, so
already.
this is essentially for all intents and purposes, a heads up pot.
Sure.
We are gonna get outdrawn sometimes. It's part of poker. However, disregarding a combo draw, we've got 60% equity here, maybe 70% equity.
Mhm.
So I like those odds. So if I've got 70% equity, I kind of want to inflate the pot. In addition, two pair are a high equity hand, but they're a
Sure.
fragile equity hand, right? And
Oh
they-
yeah, absolutely.
And they do benefit from fold equity.
So when we so when we raise here,
Can I get a
um,
turn soon?
sure,
Yeah.
I just wanted to finish out this one point. So like when we raise here, what size are we using?
I go 40.
Well,
20, 30, yeah, 32, 33, 34, 35.
Okay. All right. I mean, that's
Now,
like
to your point, like I will say, I haven't really played much cash in the past month or so. I'm very much like a tournament satellite specialist. I run into this spot a lot, and I do a lot of calling here for exactly the reasons that you raised. So I think that is very, very valid. When you get an extremely unfavorable turn, or when you get counterfeited, when your two pair gets counterfeited on turn, you can definitely revert to a more pot control type of line. So I think there's a lot of validity to that. That's typically a line that I'm taking more when I'm playing like a 30, 40 big blind stack in a tournament setting though.
sure,
for the
yeah,
most part.
same. And
All
my
right.
but
I think you're all missing
Go
an
ahead.
important point that might help this discussion before we go too deep.
Sure.
We know in solver, first of all, that the small blind should actually be checking range. So we
Yes.
have to eliminate that. But in general, if he would have bet a normal sizing for a multi-way pot, which is about 3 big blinds, we would have more raises.
Okay, sure.
When they bet pot size, our raising range goes down to almost 0.
No, it's a really good point.
and
a
that's
really good one.
and that's what I was like trying to like kind of like get to, but I kind of forgot the initial point after I like derailed myself a couple of times. So like yeah, I mean it's a pot size bet, right? Like I don't think we can raise. Like he's already made it like large enough. When we raise this again, it's just gonna make the pot even bigger. And SPR is getting closer to 1. So like even if flushes do complete, like we have to jam some turns. And
so
the reason why
solver
we have
does often, I see your point, but solver does often check raise bottom two. I mean, this is a very common check raise hand, but you're right. Check raise frequency does correlate strongly with bet strength
Well,
or bet size, right?
The
Yeah.
other thing that I just want to add also is stack size, that we're shallow enough that if we just call here, we still have a very good chance of playing for stacks if we want to, if the turn is the 2 of stars. If say we were 400 blinds deep with player 4437, I think we would want to raise here, but we're not. We don't need to. So let's call, see the turn, and move from there.
We're in
So,
position.
all right.
No
So
way,
we've
there's
got-
no way the turn is gonna go check, check, check. So that's good.
So we've got a lot of arguments for checking here. We've got some arguments for check raising, right?
I
we're
think
not-
that all
not-
speaks to that
not
there's
check raising,
validity
we're in
to
position.
both, and that
This
there
is
should
in-
be.
We're,
What my
this is
thinking is
important.
wrong here.
It's not a
'cause
check raise. We're in position. It's just a raise and that's.
We're
what-
out of position.
We are, no, I thought he was a small blind.
Oh, no, we are in position. You're right. Sorry.
that's
yeah,
what's
he's
so
a
important.
small blind. The button's in the
Because-
wrong spot.
The world is completely different if we're if we're out of position, because then the turn can go check, 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 which is terrible.
Yeah.
The turn's never going check, check, check. And so we can call.
Okay,
Unless the
so
nine of
then I
clubs
blundered
hit.
this hand because I chose to raise.
Okay.
And I chose to raise because we've already this is player dependent adjustment. We've already validated this guy is a maniac, right? Saw that on the previous hand.
Yeah.
We bluffed with
Right.
air, multi-way.
That was my thinking
Before you
too.
click, can I add one more point?
Sure.
Because he's a maniac, that's more of a reason to call and let him maniac himself off.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that helps our cause.
Okay, so so this is a tragedy as already expressed. So I raise, he reshoves. What are you guys doing?
I mean,
Call.
I call.
Calling him.
It's annoying, but you
You're-
call.
I think you're committing.
No, it's
with
not
the pair
annoying.
at this point.
Call.
Call.
A maniac is shoving on you?
So
Just
he
annoying
doesn't
that you-
have, he doesn't have, let's just do quick combinatorics. He's got one set, he's got one pair of eights ahead of us. He's got one pair of sixes, and what is that? How many pairs of tens does he have? Three?
Three.
Three.
So there's
16,
3,
9,
4,
7s.
5. So there's 5 hands that are ahead of us, right?
Plus
He's
straights.
got 9-7
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Plus a
He's
combo
Does he-
draw.
I know he's a maniac, but does he limp behind with sixes and eights, or does he raise them 100%?
Yeah, he ISO'd.
Yeah, he ISO'd from the small blind. And I think a lot of players in the small blind, even aggressive ones, might just take a free flop with
Yeah, I
pocket
agree.
sixes.
So
I
that,
agree with
yeah,
that.
so you have a good point. So that puts more of his range in aces and kings, which he's overplaying, right?
I think it's a slam dunk call. I mean, it is kind of annoying. You are going to be beat sometimes by some very high equity draws, but whatever. You can't turn those spots down.
And
You
even
have
if
to
he
take
has
them.
them in full, if he has aces, there are 6 combos of aces available.
And kings and queens, and like, yeah, it's annoying when it's 8 of diamonds on turn, but whatever. That happens sometimes. It's going
No,
to be a
it's great when
minority
it's eight
thing.
diamonds on turn. It's bad when it's 10 of diamonds. We
oh,
love the
uh,
diamond.
My mistake. I read that wrong. But yes, you see my point.
Yeah.
So,
You know what I'm saying.
so
Call.
not including combo draws, which, there's 4 up. So there's like maybe 9 hands that were behind here. And he has one of them. He had the eights. So
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, it's annoying.
it's annoying, but I think we have to call it off. I think it's too much equity not to call off.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think we go broke. So, all right. My
Especially
tragedy in
if-
2 parts.
Especially after you raise, you can't fold after you raise.
Well, yeah, I think we just have too much of a hand.
And notice that what King 5 did with his last.
Yeah, I think he left after that. So, all right, guys, that's my tragedy in 2 parts. If you enjoyed that on YouTube, please comment below with your own bad beat stories.
I don't see it as a tragedy. A maniac shoving is like, get it in there,
Yeah,
like, I don't. That's his reward for being a maniac.
All right. Do we have another, another hand anybody want? Mike, I read your comment.
Just one other hand.
Smash
I'll
that
pull
like
up.
button.
I'll pull up Poker Tracker here.
Okay.
Got to do a deep dive. I haven't played a.
Yeah,
cash
I wouldn't
game in a
worry
while
about
now.
that hand at all. I mean, look, whatever, you lost, no big deal. So I've got
Yeah.
this one that I just pulled up.
You want to, yeah, just take the screen. You can own it.
Okay. So this is one that I posted in the Discord, and there was some interesting conversation about it. So I don't know if people saw that, but let's see. First, can folks see my screen? This is actually working?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right.
I like that.
So we got ace 10. We're raising. We got flat called. Now my read on the cutoff here, first of all, is, I haven't played with this guy much, so I don't put too much into it. He's not nutty. He's not crazy. He's an older guy. I think he leans a little passive, but I don't want to put too much into that.
This is 5-5
Five.
live somewhere.
Yeah, this is 5-5 live at the Glorious Commerce Casino in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we get flat collar, and it's interesting because I had been studying this spot of single raise pot as the pre-flop aggressor out of position. So here we've got ace 8-8. We got top pair. He probably has a couple more eights than we do, but we have some eights too, and neither of us have a ton of eights. So what do we do here?
We mix check and bet, and when we check, we don't check raise this, we check call this.
Yep,
That's
I
my
agree.
opinion.
1000%.
I checked. That's exactly what I thought. I checked in. One of the things that I learned from study is you check in this spot more than you would think. or more than
Yeah.
I would think. I should
Oh.
just make it me.
I agree.
And so Solver actually wanted us to bet here about 75% of the time. I checked, which is fine, whatever.
I
He
think that
bets.
frequency is like spot on. That makes
We
perfect
call.
sense.
No reason to
Alright.
check this, I think.
I agree.
So I'm sorry, no reason to.
Check raise.
Oh God, no,
Right,
yeah.
no reason to check
I think
raise.
the theory here is
Yeah.
we're beating a lot of aces.
Mhm.
He's got ace five suited. He's got he's got all the suited aces, most of which are worse than ours. He does have a couple of aces that are, or probably has ace jack eight. Maybe he has ace queen, and he has eight, so we could be behind. But let's keep him going.
Yeah.
So the turn is a
Okay.
jack, which gives us the flush draw, which is a nice card. Although it comes with the anti-silver lining that if in fact he does have ace four, ace five, which are very possible hands, we're now chopping this pot. We're no longer winning it.
Mhm.
Okay, so what do we do?
Check.
Check.
I check. I'm wondering what the lead frequency is here, but I'm checking.
0.
0? Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Solver says
Like,
0.
I would guess it's 0 because we just went check call on the flop.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think we
Right.
could have had a C bet on that flop too.
If
Yeah.
you have king 10 of diamonds, do you have some lead frequency on that turn?
You're
King
gonna
10
generally have
diamonds?
more C bet out of position on a king high board.
I meant
No, he
like
says if we
donkey.
have king 10, keep the same board.
If we had
Same board, but
king-
you have king 10 diamonds.
Oh, sorry.
If we have king 10 of diamonds, I'm sorely tempted to check raise.
How do we
big.
get here
Okay.
with king 10?
I think it's a
Well, I
reasonable
mean,
flop call.
I would have raised king 10 of diamonds. Yeah, you're right. I would have thrown away king 10 of diamonds on the flop to his
Well, no,
to
I
his
wouldn't
bet.
have thrown it away, but I wouldn't be calling with king 10 of diamonds.
Calling the flop bet, you mean?
Yeah.
I
I
think
need
it's
to
a
I'm
fold
with you.
call.
That's exactly what I would have done.
Okay.
All right, so we check, he bets. I think everyone's on board with call here.
Yeah, but I'm not happy. But I'm calling.
Okay. All right, so then we miss our draw. What are we doing?
Check or block.
Easy
Any
check
block
call
here?
spot.
No, just check.
Check. Bet.
Call.
Small bet.
What is
Call.
that size?
Call for half pot.
Raise
And
him.
call for a chop and sometimes not chop. And sometimes
Raise him and make his life miserable.
squeeze.
All right, so no one, okay, well, my question was, so, I mean, my theory here is we are chopping this pot 80% of the time or something like that, some huge percentage of the time.
Yes.
But no one's saying fold.
No.
No.
Okay.
No, if you're chopping
Great.
that often, it's probably fine just as a call. Yeah, you don't have to
Yep.
get too aggro. Okay.
All
I'm
right,
with you.
well,
Because he could have an 8 and you could be crushed.
True.
yeah, he could have that. I think that's it. It's like
Okay.
there's a small chance he has us crushed. There's a small chance he's bluffing, but there's a very large chance we're chopping.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
think
so that's what we-
80% might be high, but it is
High, right?
at least 50%.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
There's
live and
there's
learn.
no reason to argue over the numbers. It's just high. Maybe not as
Right.
high as 80.
What's he got?
Whatever,
10
yeah,
8? 10
it
8
doesn't matter.
spades?
Anyway, so we did it, and
Ace
It's
king.
it's the one. It's one of the
Well-
3 aces that we lose to.
I did not have that in his range, but live and learn.
Nor
Yeah.
should you have.
I see him having ace,
No,
queen, and ace jack there.
I disagree.
It's a drawing. hand.
When playing population, you always have to assume there's a 10% chance they
Yeah.
have it and they should have 3-bet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
10. I think that's about spot on, Joey. Actually, I think you're right.
I have
10%.
I have one question about that hand in general, which is there is an aphorism, which is you don't call for chops.
Right.
Yes.
But I assume that aphorism applies as you don't call pot size bets for chops and you don't call
Yeah,
for-
that's sizing. It's got to be fine as a call. It has to be.
Yeah, for
It has to
75.
be.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason I thought this was a good hand to share, because there is that aphorism, and it's not always right. I mean, because there was a chance. I think you don't call for a chop when your options are you're chopping or you're losing. You know, in this case, we're chopping. We could be winning and we could
Oh,
be losing.
yeah. So it's, okay.
That's a good point. That's a
Yeah,
really good point.
when you know you're chopping, you don't just call.
Okay,
Hmm.
But
right. There's
we
a
didn't
straight
do
on,
that
there's
here.
a straight on the board and we're playing the board. And they can have the over pit and they can have the over card to the straight. And they can have the one higher straight than you.
Right.
You can fold to a pot size bet there and just say, fine.
Okay, so
Okay.
this next hand is I have a feeling Joey and I are gonna come to blows over this one. Metaphorically, of course.
Well, that's the only reason I come to these webinars.
So this is
I gotta go open the door for my son.
okay. There's been a lot of discussion about ace king pre-flop on the Discord, and this is similar. Obviously, ace king is stronger than ace queen, but it's similar to that last hand that I don't remember who shared, but I'm sorry, but where we had ace
That was
queen in the
Larry's.
blinds.
That was
So
Larry's.
to me, I think this is a no-brainer, 100% spot.
okay.
And so I'm curious to see what other people think.
This is
All right, so
I already have my answer.
Yeah.
I mean, ace king suited equals ace ace 99% of the time.
so we've got raise, cold call, cold call.
6, 8,
What are we doing?
So this one,
10,
this one, the squeeze is
We're
definite.
squeezing, no
Yeah.
doubt.
Right.
100, 110.
We have ace king, which makes it a squeeze. There's two players already in, which makes it a squeeze. We're out of position, which makes it a squeeze.
Wait, what are these stack sizes here? Okay, that's 20. He's betting 20 chips and he's a total stack of 500. What is this? 50 big blinds deep? Am I?
150 big blinds deep.
Oh, okay. My mistake. I'm sorry.
156 big blinds, 780.
So it
just-
reads
mistake.
small blind, 100 big blinds, which translates to 505 chips.
Okay, I gotcha.
Okay, so what are we raising to here?
100 and 110, 120, 110, 115. Between 110, 120.
It's 120 minimum.
Yeah, 120.
Okay.
I am 100% of the time jamming.
That's fine too, I think. Yep.
I think with suited ace king, that should be less than ace king off. I think with suited ace king, you're probably
60,
wanna-
80, 100, 120.
Well, it's only 100 big blinds. The other hand you showed, you were like 300 big blinds deep.
I'm sure
Right,
it's
I know the
fine,
one you're thinking.
but I think you get more value out of 3-betting smaller without the jam.
And I have actually come
120-ish.
up with another reason why I like a smaller 3-bet.
Smaller than the standard size or smaller than the giant
Smaller
size?
than the jam.
Okay, gotcha.
But at 100 big blinds with 2 callers and a 4x raise, a jam can't be wrong.
Hmm. I agree.
However, we are, in general, my assumption is we're against players that are worse than us because we spend time studying and understanding the game.
Mhm.
And I think against that type of player, you want to reduce the variance. And a 3-bet to about 120, 150. All right, Scotty, I'm sorry.
Just not all of us, just some of us.
When I play poker, I assume I'm the best player at the table.
Yes, go on, Joey. I assume you are too.
And I reduce variance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think going 120 when you have a skill edge is better than shoving.
I agree. Now, does a suited versus an offsuit combo affect that decision or affect your sizing at all? Ace king off versus ace king clubs here.
Suited would rather 3-bet than jam. When,
I
I
agree.
would rather jam with ace king off.
yeah, when given a decision.
Does that impact like frequencies enough where it's like actually noticeable, or are you still taking the same line more or less about the same time or same frequency?
Re-ask that question.
Like, does that make enough of a difference, suited or offsuit, to where you're actually mixing in sizes, or is it negligible enough where you're just going to be jamming most of the time, whether it's suited or not?
Oh no, I'm more likely to not shove suited.
Okay, so it does make
I'm
enough
more
of a
likely
difference.
to never shove suited, but maybe 50% offsuit.
Okay, 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 perfect.
So I have
I'm-
two questions for Joey, or everyone, but Joey raised them. First is on reducing variance. And then this is a general, why is that a goal? I mean, if we're properly rolled for the game, are we just looking for the most EV play? I mean, we're going to have tons of variance. What do we care?
Hey man, I'm not properly rolled. I got bills to pay. I gotta reduce variance.
Okay, to me, shoving turns the game into bingo. If they call, then you just gotta hope you hit, or they don't hit if they're behind. That's like playing bingo. And I think I have better decision-making skills,
Mhm.
that I get more equity in making better decisions than playing bingo.
Yep, I like it.
Okay, so it's not
I'm with you.
reducing variance. I mean, what you just described isn't reducing variance. It's
taking
maximizing
advantage of
EV.
your edge.
I think of my job as entertaining the roulette players, so they stick around.
Welcome,
they're
And then
happy
the
to have variance and give me a slight edge.
And then the
So-
second question is, or actually, this is a statement. Out of position in a very low SPR situation, we can't apply our skill edge or apply it significantly enough that the additional fold equity, that it outweighs the additional fold equity we gain. It's like, so if we raise to 125 and get a call, then our SPR is super small. We're out of position. Like, it's,
You
what are we
still
going
have
to
an
do?
edge on that player,
Well,
though. You can still outplay him.
Small SPR. All right, out of position, there's equity realization issues. But with a top pair type hand like ace king is, small SPR limits our equity realization deduction because it is a small SPR. Out of position with a hand like this hurts more when the SPR is like 6 or above.
Okay.
But a low SPR with a top pair type hand when it hits does not affect, because you're not, with a low SPR, you're not folding top pair when you hit it.
Right.
You're just not sure how the money's going to go in, but you're not going to fold it. So our positional disadvantage matters a little less in low SPR.
Right. Yeah. That's why sort of another general heuristic is out of position. You want to reduce the SPR.
Right, but if you go to 120, the SPR is going to be like 3-1 anyhow if they call, which is small enough to play ace king.
Yeah, you end up jamming most flops anyway. Or a lot
You
of
do?
flops.
No, no.
No, I
No,
disagree with that.
no.
When you
This
miss, you're
isn't-
going to miss
this
most of the
isn't an
time.
NT2.
How deep are you going to be on the flop at that point?
3-1.
But
one.
if I mean, obviously
okay.
it's a big if, but if the initial raiser calls, then we're going to have 240, 260, 280.
Yeah, okay. No, I see it now. My math was off. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with arithmetic. I'm trying to get better.
Yeah, it's going to be like 2-1 when he
Yeah.
calls.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. My mistake.
So there's some flops
Okay.
we want to get involved with. There's going to be some that we're going to check behind or check and hope we get a free turn.
Right. And if they, and if we miss and they check, or excuse me, if we miss, we check and they bet, then if they bet less than jam, then we're kind of in a rough spot. We don't know what to do.
Yep.
It depends on the suits. See, also you have to understand that population is not going to put you in such a harsh spot as a sovereign will.
That's very true.
Because they're not going to find as many bluffs after you check. They're going to play a little bit more honest. So if you completely whiff with your ace king and they bet, it's not as heart-wrenching a spot as it would be against a solver.
That's fair. That's a good point.
Okay, so and I will tell you my heuristic in this spot, and obviously it depends if we know that, you know, the initial raiser is a super nit and his range is only queens plus, and that's different. But assuming we're talking about normal ranges, is if I'm in this spot, I'm squeezing from the blinds with ace king. If I have 200 big blinds or less, I'm jamming.
Oh no, that's not a heuristic at all.
200.
That's
I
like
don't even do that.
that's just a general rule you made up. That's not a real heuristic.
Yeah, you might be going from an 8
No,
big blind
that's a
raise up to
yeah, that's a
200.
heuristic I made up. That's my rule. Maybe heuristic is the wrong term, but that's what I do. If I'm picking up ace king in the blinds and I've got less than 200 big blinds, and there's a raise, call, I'm jamming 200 big blinds or less.
That can't be good. It's not unprofitable, but there's got to be a much better way to play the hand.
You're probably losing a lot of what you'd be getting paid from keeping your opponents in.
I would think so.
How many
Maybe.
times you think
Maybe.
you're losing ace jack off? That you could almost stack him if you let him see a flop with an ace.
I don't think often, because I don't think ace jack off is calling big three bets, whether they're all in or 120.
Time
I mean,
out.
I think you're
Time out.
They shouldn't be.
They should not be in theory, but these players are unstudied. All right, you have to understand the way general population thinks about poker. They have a set region of hands that they like to see a flop with. They don't care what the action is in front of them as long as it's not ridiculous. If they have a hand that wants to see a flop, they will see a flop. So where you think ace jack should be folding 100%, in reality, they are not folding because they want to see a flop.
Yeah, they're not considering like reverse implied odds for those types of like specific ace jack, ace 10 suited types of hands either. And that's
I think part of your misconception is assuming they are all studied and that they will play perfect poker after you make the 3-bet. And that's definitely not going to happen. But if you shove, you will make them fold ace jack, ace 10.
if you're that deep,
Well, I
200
think if we're in a situation where they will call a 150, 120, whatever, raise with ace jack, ace 10, but they will fold that same hand to an all in, then yes, then I think you're right. Then a smaller 3-bet is warranted. I'm not sure I agree with the input, but if that is the input, then yes, I agree.
I've been playing poker for 20 years. I can guarantee you that if you go to 120, they will call with ace 10. They'll call with king queen.
Yeah.
They'll
Yeah.
call with king jack.
True.
I have played many hands, and a lot of it is I get to play live. And unlike online, live, even if I bet them out of the pot on the flop or turn, a lot of them will still show me what they're folding.
Yeah,
And
especially
so,
when you
so if you
yeah,
think
especially when you
if
go
you
when
think if you think they're calling, so what about the added fold equity of them folding out, you know, tens, nines, jacks, which they'll do? Or do you think they'll do?
To a
They won't
shove,
necessarily.
they're not
well-
Yeah,
folding
to a
tens
shove.
and nine, they're not folding nines and above to a shove. Oh, hold on, I need timeout.
Okay,
Okay.
My son.
Well,
just
I
walked in.
can, I mean, I disagree with that. And actually that's evident by this hand almost. So I'll show the result. So the original razor, well, first, you know, the cutoff and the button, they are dead money 90% of the time. They are never calling this jam.
Yeah.
And
Agreed.
under the gun +1 in this hand, tanks. And I mean tanks. Starts moaning and groaning and talking about how his luck is so bad.
Okay,
and,
so
you
this is
know,
a live hand, 5-5 live, obviously,
Yeah.
from what I'm, okay, with you.
I got
Okay.
it. And aces and, oh, this is so right on the line. And what do I do? It's so close and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, they're calling
And
jacks
then-
plus.
Oh,
And then he calls with
Queens.
queens,
Yeah.
like, and so
wow.
reluctantly. I mean, he was on the knife's edge of folding these queens.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see it in these games, man. I
so
mean,
let's play the hand out in the exact hand in its alternate form.
Ugh.
You raise to 125, he calls his queens. If he
Mhm.
jams his queens, you call. We've got that. But instead he calls his queens and you get this flop. How do you respond to this flop where you don't hit, but you've got the big draw and the backdoor draw? Not the big, I mean, you've got the nut draw, but it's inside. What are you doing?
I would have to, I would really hate my life, but I would bet
Yep.
20, I would bet 30%.
Okay,
yeah,
bet
you have
30%.
to see, but I'm going like 20 to 25%, and then when he jams it, I fold.
And when he's
Well,
there,
or
find
he
him, I
probably
don't jam.
wouldn't jam. He'd probably call because he
I
has
think he
top
just
set.
calls and you get another
Probably.
card.
Probably. If
And
you
if-
run into a jam, I still fold.
And if the card comes and if it's a club, an ace or a king, you go broke. If it's a 10, you win. And if it's a blank, what do you do after the call?
I'd
It-
probably shut it down there.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Check the.
you
check
lose the
non-10,
small, you
non-ace,
lose the
non-king.
small C bet because the 6 of hearts is not a barreling card.
Yeah,
And the
Yeah.
2 of spades is not a bluffing card with our hand.
right. So
I just wanna note, you know, that maybe different player pools, whatever. It was not an act. He was this close. I'm doing a little thing with my fingers. He was this close to folding those queens pre.
Well,
Which
he's
means he
folding
would have
jacks then,
folded
probably.
jacks, he would have folded tens, he would have folded nines.
Okay,
For sure.
you have one player. I honestly had a woman fold pocket kings to me before. That does not mean that you find the one example, it overrules all the other errors that everybody else makes by calling too wide.
you don't
Just
happen to have her
emphasize
name
that
and
one.
address, do you?
Huh?
You
Happened
don't
what?
happen
I'm
to have
sorry.
Her name and address, do you?
No, it was actually, I was playing at the Borgata in Atlantic City and I didn't know the players in that player pool at that time.
No, I think that's
Anyway,
a fair
so-
point. But that being said, like, I mean, I used like being from a tournament background, pocket queens equals aces, pocket tens equals aces. I'm happy to pile in all the money 100% of the time pre-flop.
but-
It's only since I started studying cash where it's like I considered folding queens is even a thing here. So I think it's totally reasonable to suspect that some players might fold queens in that spot. Like,
Well, no, a studied player will fold queens at some point.
I would have never considered that as a tournament player before studying cash though.
Oh,
Like,
no.
queens, like never, ever.
But-
Like you're
But
getting it in.
honestly, population, I could say with confidence that if you made it 120 and this person had ace jack, they'd call.
Okay. Which is awful. Terrible play, obviously.
Right. And then who benefits when they make huge errors like that?
You, obviously. You. Yeah. Us.
Maybe not every single hand, but over time it will add up.
Yep. No, absolutely. Fair point.
And then unfortunately, this hand, you would have lost, but you would have lost the minimum. You would have lost like 100 and maybe 170.
Yeah, probably something in that ballpark.
Okay.
Anyway, so we lost this hand. We moved on. Sort of, we have no regrets.
Okay. Anybody else got a hand?
I'd like to see that Phil Golf-on thing.
Oh, okay. So it's,
we need to stop the recording to play that though.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that okay with everyone?
Yeah, I got to dip for 5 minutes, and I'll find a hand for us to look at. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
I mean, I say that for two reasons. It could be a copyright issue, putting it on our video on YouTube, and also from a poker coaching representative issue,
Yeah.
we are trying not to advertise other coaches.
Yep.
Right. And that's fair. That's all good.
That's fair.
Phil
That's all-
Galfind.
I understand.
Phil Galfind. He works for, so, the question
Never
is,
heard of the guy.
on that, on the video, is that something that, some of you can't watch on YouTube? Is that why? Or you just wanted to watch it together and have a little watch party?
Oh, if it's YouTube, it might not even play in Zoom.
Yeah, it's YouTube, so I think, if, I can't see any reason why anybody wouldn't be able to watch it on YouTube.
Yeah,
But yeah,
Can you post the link again?
Yeah, I'll
'Cause I'm
post the link
going
again.
back, I can't even, oh, I got it.
oh, there's the link. Yeah, it's nice. We'll watch it. We'll
Hey.
watch it offline.
And quick comment for Mike, just in response to the comment you made with the chart. It's noteworthy that in the hand I played, it wasn't a 2.5 open raise. It was a 4 big bet open raise, big blind
Yeah.
open raise, which is more typical, and 2 calls. So there's 12 blinds in the call in the pot by the time it gets to me,
Yeah.
not 7, which increases the value of dead money.
And for the record, shoving is going to be profitable. I just believe the smaller bet is more profitable over time.
Gotcha.
Okay,
Oh,
well, we're
skate or
waiting.
die?
so
Actually, this
Scotty.
one,
Yeah.
Oh,
The-
sorry, Joe.
the lady who folded king to me was in a tournament. She opened raised to 3 and I shoved 15. With pocket jacks. And there's no way anybody in the world should ever find a fold with pocket kings. But she swore I had aces
Okay. I assume you did
And-
not disabuse
and
her.
folded face up.
Yeah.
Of course, you got good fold.
Yeah. Wow. That's a strong fold. Wow. I don't know that I could have made that. Wow.
That's like world-class professional fold. I mean, that is world-class
All
shit.
right. Okay, if nobody's got a hand yet, I'll just throw one up there while we're.
Oh, I
waiting for
found a
someone
hand.
to-
That's
Okay,
what I was going
put
to
it up.
say, Scotty. You know me. I have like tons of hands.
Oh,
so
yeah,
whenever
yeah. Put it,
we're
put it,
lacking, I can jump in.
King, you put one up,
Yep.
King.
It's a slightly older one. I can't
Oh,
quite
bye,
remember how
Larry.
I
We missed
came
him.
about it here.
Oh,
Larry's
Larry's
gone.
gotta go?
Okay, just getting it here. There we go. Where are we here?
Pocket seven.
Okay, yeah, pocket 7's on the button. We get an open limp from early position. So I make my calculation here. I bump it up to, normally would go like 5-ish, but I'm in absolute position, so I size down
No,
slightly. Probably 4.5 is the correct textbook size, right?
Yeah.
No, actually,
4.4.
there are different theories on the range, on the sizing here. 4 is perfectly fine. 3x plus the 1 limper is perfectly fine. Jonathan likes to go pot size, which would be 4.5.
4.4.
Okay.
4.4 in this case because the
Oh
small
yeah,
blind is smaller.
4.4.
Is this 2-5 live?
No, this is NL25 online, 10-cent,
Yeah.
25-cent, NL25
Alright.
online game.
Yep.
Okay, so I size down because I'm in position. We get a call from the under the gun limper, ace 10 deuce, and he checks to us. So we 3-bet, or we raise the limp. We got a call. I'm going to be betting here, I assume. I'm sure that's
So if you bet here, you're just betting range, right? You're not betting your hand.
Yes.
You're just betting
now
range.
correct. Betting range,
Okay.
correct.
So
Yeah,
that's
I
a 4%.
bet range. I bet
perfectly
range
reasonable
here.
size to bet range. This
Yeah, and I
board,
like a smaller sizing that connects with our range as much as this one does. It's not like super, super wet. I like a
Yeah.
small sizing.
sure.
Pretty standard, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Get
And
a
now you're done.
call. Well, we got a call, pocket or five of spades. He checks again. I decide to continue. So out of position, obviously I'm gonna be checking here. I mean, in position, I just found so many of these spots where I'm holding like a marginal hand. I mean, I know this is gonna be a fold. He's got a lot of ace X, he's got a lot of 10x. I've tried to not do so much checking turn when I'm in position. At least I can keep it cheap. He'll
Okay.
call and I can get to river and just check. You
Can
know,
I
and
interject?
absolutely.
I disagree with that. Go on,
The
Joey.
5 is a
Perfect.
horrible card to double barrel on.
Okay. Okay.
You have to be
Perfect.
board aware when you're gonna double barrel, and the 5 is not a good card.
Okay.
You're
What are you,
definitely much better checking on the 5.
And
what are you
what is
ranging
it,
him at here? Oh, shit.
what is it about the 5, Joey? And what are the cards that you would double barrel on with your set,
Yes.
with sevens? Because I'm checking behind sevens here on every turn, except
Well,
for
I
seven,
would check it behind quite often.
right?
Okay.
But if you want to turn it into a bluff, any Broadway card would be better than the 5.
Okay. And is the 5
Okay.
bad because it isn't a Broadway card, or is it bad because it is a 5?
It's not a card that should hit our range and improve our hand.
Okay, gotcha. So it's
at
not
that
particularly
point-
bad. if there's
Primarily
no one
the
that goes-
former.
Okay,
At
got
that point, we polarize with betting our best hands and our worst hands and check everything in the middle. And this is clearly in the middle.
Yeah. I think
and
you're right.
15 is a
Okay.
totally polarized size. You bet large on the
Yeah.
turn there, King. So when you say
Absolutely.
I'm getting to the river cheap, I don't think you're getting to the river cheap.
Okay. No, that's a fair point. Do you have any specific combos that you are having in mind for under the gun right now? Like, are you particularly conscious of any, say, pocket fives or 4-3 suited, or is there anything in specific that you're actually
I
thinking
don't
that he's
expect to
holding
see
here?
4-3 suited very often. I expect to see a lot of weak aces, and I don't
Yep.
like trying
Well,
to make a
wait.
living bluffing people off of weak aces. You'll see some tens,
Yep.
I-
Okay.
I
see some
think,
jack
with-
queen and queen and king queen and king jack.
all right, you're putting them on logical hands again, and we're facing illogical players.
Mhm.
But Joey, they also have these hands in range. So I'm not limiting to that. He said, what are you expecting to see? So I'll start with those hands.
So
Yeah,
you
he is the
I'm not gonna
limper.
start with
don't
jack.
forget,
4-3
too.
You think 4-3 off is out of the possibilities here?
No, I said I absolutely don't think it's out of the possibilities. I said I don't think we're gonna see it a lot.
Yeah, I
So-
don't see it. Like, what kind of hands do you think they're
Right.
limp calling?
Well,
As you
I
said,
thi-
weak aces and
Yeah.
pocket pairs, or
Yeah, they're going to have a lot of aces. They have a lot of Broadway hands.
Yeah.
Some of the really weak ones, weak limpers, will have any connected card suited or offsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
that's your 3-4 clubs
Yeah.
and stuff.
Right.
But again, that shouldn't be too often.
Yeah. But
But I don't like this bet. I think you guys make very valid points as to
It's-
why this is a bad bet. So
Yeah.
that's
Yep.
that's a fair point.
There's
and
one thing that I think got overlooked, and I joined like a second early. Sorry for interrupting you.
No,
Is
go ahead.
that when equity completes in general,
Mhm.
you do not want to be betting big.
Okay.
So I'm not saying that you have 3-4 in range because I don't think you do.
No.
But I want to make it very clear, like in general. So say this was a queen, right? Or a king, you
Mhm.
still
Yeah.
don't have big bets here.
Yeah.
You don't have big bets because equity is essentially completed for queen jack.
If this is a king, I'm probably turning my sevens into a bluff here. I probably am barreling, knowing that that king is very favorable for my range, and then I'm comfortable barreling and then continuing on river as well.
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
sure.
but my
what-
sevens are a pure bluff at that
Right,
point.
king, but the thing he's saying is he's not saying don't bluff it. He's saying the sizing of the range in theory, and you have to
Okay.
have a reason to go against, you have to give yourself a good reason to go against theory in this case, is when you barrel, you now barrel small because
Yes.
equity completed.
Okay, so sorry, what size are you looking at here? Because sort of like
Five.
pot size, once you're this deep, pot size is kind of the only size that I'm really looking at as a realistic bet.
Like
Looking
like
at
a
a third.
quarter.
In a way, though,
Really?
I disagree with Greg here
Uh-huh.
because yes, 4-3 can be in range.
No,
the
he,
ver- the very
Joey, he's
worst
not talking
one-
about this.
No,
hand.
I'm not. I'm not talking about this hand in general, Joey.
Yeah.
I was talking about theoretically, like when equity ever completes. So, like I was saying, like when the king comes in, right?
Oh, yeah, I thought you were talking about the 5 and
No,
completing the
no,
fourth
no,
ring.
no.
no.
I'm no.
He corrected himself on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, alright.
Right.
That's where I was perking up, it's like, wait, no.
Yeah.
Yes, in general, yeah, you do size down when a draw completes, but that is typically only when the draw is a realistic part of the range.
Yeah, it was a realistic part of the range. Yeah, absolutely. If this was a deuce, I'm probably blasting, right? But like since this is a 5 where equity where equity could complete within a limped range. Sorry, now we're adjusting, right? Because
Mhm.
4-3 is definitely within the realm of possibility. 4-3 suited is like a limp call. I would definitely, and like in general, like I said, if this was a king, you would just bet small. So
Okay.
just keep that in mind when
Yeah.
in future, when equity does complete, you don't have any large bets.
Okay.
Right. What
okay.
I would do if that card, and first on the 5, I absolutely check behind, but if that card was a king, which is fantastic for our range, but does complete a logical draw, then I would sort of, be 50 the turn. And if he calls and the river is a blank, I'm blasting the river.
Absolutely.
So you're not looking to go for a polarized sizing on turn just because he has so many combos of queen jack that can get there, like in that case.
Oh,
Yeah. And I want
Yeah.
to see his reaction to my
Okay.
bet.
'Cause-
Obviously, if I B50 and he check raises, I'm done. I'm out.
Okay.
But if he
okay.
just calls and then the river is a blank, I'm blasting it.
Right.
And I'm going to get him
Okay.
off of A6 or whatever he has.
That makes
But-
sense. It's just my reason for sizing is I'm looking at our stacks. We're about 140 deep here. Pot size is like 16 bigs. I'm just like, if you're trying to build a pot, trying to play for any meaningful amount of big blinds, I'm gonna want to size up a bit. Like betting 5 into 15 when we're about 150 deep, that just doesn't really strike me as much of an option. But you guys obviously make a very good argument for that. It's just I wouldn't have considered that so much before. It's sort of just like continue large or don't or check. That's kind of how I would approach it before. Yeah. Okay. So it
As
goes check, check. So, I mean, I realized I
Now-
got 2 calls and I gave up
played-
on this river.
as played, I
I-
would
I
give up.
think you have to bluff now.
After continuing on this, okay.
Yeah,
mean-
because you blew your showdown value by betting twice. Now this hand doesn't have showdown value anymore.
No, it doesn't, but I vaguely recall realizing like anything I bet, he's gonna call me with his random 10x, random ace x. I'm just like, I don't really see any
Well,
point in
if-
bluffing.
You get a
If
10,
you
you
know
could get a
that,
10
if
to
you
fold
know
for
that,
50.
then
Yeah.
if you
I
know
don't
he's
think you
gonna
get-
call with his 10s, then you're probably right to just shut it down.
But I don't
Yeah.
think we are targeting. I mean, I think we're going to be targeting a large portion of the time on ace with him limping so early.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong, but that's
Um,
my thing.
so I think that if I'm betting here, I'm betting like probably 1.5x pot. If I'm bluffing.
Yeah, if I'm
Um,
betting, I'm gonna go around 100% pot, but I mean, I figure I have some showdown value with the 7. I know I kind of blew it, but
1.5 gets a 10 to fold. You're getting called by an ace, I think, no matter what here. Board's too dry, no obvious equity is essentially completed. Like, this is just yucky. Like,
so what's the point of betting then? Shouldn't you just check?
to
Get
get
a
a
10 to
10
fold.
to get a 10 to fold. That's like to get a 10 or a 5 and he doesn't really have much 5x here. Getting it to 5 to fold. You're getting called off by 2 pair, you're getting called off by a pair of aces, so if you really think that his range mostly contains like a 10x, then you can definitely blast. But if like Do you think that he's just, I mean, if he has an ace, like, I don't also mind checking back and just giving up here
Yeah,
either.
it's probably some ace jack nonsense, and that's I vaguely recall at the time. It's just
But-
like I
but-
fired twice, he called me twice, and I'm like, okay, I give up. I have some showdown value with a pocket pair. Maybe he calls me with fours.
Yeah,
But
that's ambitious, but yeah.
I know, but you know what I'm saying? It's just like I don't really see a major need to stack off here. I don't see a major need to blast off. He's going to be
Oh,
calling me with
never
all of this
folding.
here.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah,
recognized I was up against something like that, and I chose not to fire again. Like whatever. I took my chance on flop and turn. It didn't work. I give up.
Yep.
I have some showdown value. Whatever.
I think it's right, to be honest, because once they call the turn, I think they're gonna have more than likely an ace. Because they're out of position, they're gonna be expecting a river shove or big bet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And the heuristic that I want to take away from this hand, the way that I want to think about it is that I want to remember that on the turn, when equity completes that I believe is in their range, I want to bet smaller with my range in general. When I'm betting pot, that is a polarized bet. And when I bet polarized, I want to have the best and the absolute worst. And this is not, and 7-7 is not well described as the best and is not described as the absolute worst.
Okay. So
So
let
that's why
let me ask you a question then. Part of the reason why I've started barreling in position on these turns is to avoid going check and then facing a 100% pot river bet where, I mean, this one's a pretty clear fold, but I mean, if you're sitting there with queens or sitting there with jacks, it's a much more difficult fold. Do you
Okay,
find
so-
that there's some merit to barreling in position on these turns to avoid facing that
No.
100% pot
No.
river after
And I'll
going
give you,
check
and
on
I'll give you
turn?
the very easy answer why.
Okay.
You just bet 100% pot. Why do you care if he bets 100% pot? Same amount of dollars. It's only better if the argument you're making, valid or invalid, is only better if you bet smaller than pot.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
You've
That
just
makes
blocked
sense.
him. You've just blocked him with the
Yeah.
same size you would have to call his bluffs with. So
Okay.
But also you have to remember that when you check, and even if he does bet pot, he's going to bet pot with a larger range than he's going to call your pot size bet.
Correct. So are you just slam dunk, check turn and call his river
No.
lead? Slam dunk call?
you are
If I
slam
have
dunk,
que-
you are
if I
slam
have
dunk,
queens
check,
or
check, turn,
jacks-
and reevaluate on the river.
Okay.
So
Based
Sorry,
on-
Joey, go ahead.
I missed you, Joey.
If I have queens or jacks, I probably would call. It depends how big the bet is.
Yeah. Queens, jacks, I think it's clear, but pocket eights, pocket sevens, pocket sixes. What are you doing?
I may fold to a pot size bet on the river.
Mostly
Yeah,
fold.
Because,
and
I mean,
you
you're
see,
down-
I agree, and that's like very much my reason for betting pot size on turn. It kind of avoids those nightmare calls. I'm the one putting pressure on him. I'm the one forcing
Okay,
him.
let me ask you a
No,
question. Is he blasting the river 100% of the time after you check? It never
Not
goes
100%
check,
of the time, but most of the time, majority
will
of the
never-
time,
it-
yes.
No, that's not true. Not a majority.
I think over half the time.
But even if it's a majority, you have not saved yourself any money.
Okay.
It's only,
And- And you think it never goes check on the river and you just show down and win with your sevens.
Oh, it will sometimes. But if I miss that continue turn C bet, he's going to be betting more than half the time, I would think. And then you're sitting there with fourth pair, like you have to fold. You
Mhm.
just relinquish your showdown value.
Yeah, if he bets, but you don't relinquish your showdown value. Showdown value means if no more money goes into the pot, this hand is strong enough to win right now.
Okay.
But when you bet, your hand no longer has showdown value because you double barreled with a marginal made hand.
Yeah, so I have to bluff it at that point then for
Yeah,
it to make sense.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Look,
I understand what you're
have
saying.
Two
Because
quick things.
Oh, go ahead.
One is, I think the most valuable heuristic, or that I use, I don't want to, I may be misusing the word again, is when you see bet the flop on a board that you miss, your hand missed, but is very good for your range, which is this exact scenario.
Yep.
You should see bet, you should continue to barrel on the turn only when the turn card is exceptionally good for your range, like a king.
So are you
five is
checking the
bad.
turn most of the time?
I
then?
am-
'Cause that's
No,
I am checking
remember,
this turn 100% of the time.
With this hand.
right.
Yes,
because
with this hand.
The part that you're leaving out of your analysis is, we said that this board was good for our range, right?
The
That means
flop was good for our
the
range,
flop,
right?
yeah, the flop was good for our range. That means many of the times that you get here playing in your life, you will not have missed this flop. That's what good for your range means.
Mhm.
So you make money because of that. You are able to continue because he misses this flop a lot and he just folds immediately.
Yeah, so
When
shouldn't
he
that make the
doesn't-
argument to bet turn?
No,
No.
that's the argument
No.
against betting turn.
Can I give
Okay.
you the
Because
heu-
he called, when
Can
he
I give you-
called your, go ahead, Joey.
Can I give you the heuristics for when
Yes, sir.
you should double barrel?
Yes, sir.
There are two heuristics that most pros go by. When the turn card is good for your range, you can double barrel. When the turn card improves your equity, say you had a backdoor flush draw and it becomes a front door now on the turn, then you continue bluffing.
Okay.
That is generally when you double barrel with less than premium. Because going back to the old days before the solver, the general thinking was you should continue 70% on each street.
Wow.
So
As the aggressor, Joey, or as the caller, just to clarify.
both.
Okay, go on.
Wow.
Okay, go on.
Holy crap.
So if you see bet range, only in the old days, only 70% of that was going to continue firing on the turn.
Okay.
So your firing range on the turn and the river is going to get smaller and smaller in the number of combinations as each street goes by.
Yep.
So just because you bet the flop, and if you continue 100% of the time, you're definitely betting too much on the turn.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not advocating for betting 100%. It's just I used to check way more turns than I should have, and then I found myself facing way more difficult river calls than I should be. My coach insisted I need to barrel more turns, and I
Right.
kind of took back
So-
the initiative, and I'm winning a lot
So
more pots as a
I think
result.
you went maybe a little bit too far now, because
Okay, sure,
Thi-
sure.
this is clearly one of those hands that wants to check the turn.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I see
then
what you're
one more-
saying. I
And
do.
then one more thing before moving on this, which is, I do not agree with the logic of, I want to bet the turn because I don't want to have a hard decision on the river. Okay?
Okay,
But if you decide to go with that logic, and it's your game you get to, then you need to not bet pot on the turn. You need to bet half pot on the turn so that you're actually saving money with your theory. Because right now you're not saving any money. You're just putting the money in a different order.
is that not an exploitable line by choosing such a small sizing with these such deep
Yeah,
stacks?
I would not. I'd rather teach you to find the right hands to check back the turn, as opposed to change sizing just to make it okay.
Okay. Because that's
Good
sort of the approach I take. I either want to check turn or I want to continue large, like continue 100% pot or overbet even.
No, that's not right either.
Okay.
There are going to
Okay.
be some turns where you can continue with a polarized bet. Some turns you continue with a small bet.
It just seems so weird once you're like 140 big blinds deep to be betting
Not every-
third on the turn.
Not every
like-
hand is about getting stacks in. There are
Okay.
a lot of hands that go that you have medium-sized pots on. You know
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
You
So
don't have
I'm,
to,
I'm,
you don't have to be only playing. Okay, go on, Greg.
oh, sorry, my bad, Scotty.
It's okay. I made my point.
The the general thing that I always say is big hand, big pot, small hand, small pot, medium hand, medium pot. Very, very
Okay.
easy. Like
Yeah, no,
big hand,
that's-
big pot. Like
Okay.
you could bluff you could bluff big hand, but the problem is when you get to showdown without a big hand, you're big dead. So just big hand, big pot.
Okay. Okay.
So,
All right.
Okay. Sure.
Go on.
So, like, can you talk more about when you don't bet full pot on the turn? Joey, you mentioned that times.
Okay.
I've changed my game so that I either bet full pot on the turn or I check.
Well, let me give one answer before Joey is, because I want to repeat the one we said before. One of the times you don't bet full pot on the turn is when equity completes that's within your opponent's range. Now go on with
But-
the other times. Because we
Okay,
just
but
had that conversation.
That can't be a pure heuristic on its own because there are times when equity completes and you blast for an overbet. However, when you're the flop aggressor and the turn card has equity changing, what's the right word?
Equity shifts in favor of your opponent.
Right,
Mhm.
if it has equity shifting qualities,
In
then
favor
you
of your
do not
opponent's
want to
range.
bet large. You want to
Okay.
bet small when the equity shifts. If you were the flop aggressor and the equity shifts, you don't want to polarize.
Okay. Okay. I'm with you. That all
Okay.
makes
You can
sense.
bet
Right.
small then? Is that what you're saying? That's the
Yep.
instance where you bet
No,
small.
not you can bet small. You should bet small.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
I took
okay,
out of
okay.
it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's very valuable. I really appreciate that insight.
Okay.
So
So I'm gonna change my game so that, like, I was playing a very simplistic game where I either bet pot or don't. So I'm gonna change it to incorporate that, I guess.
yeah,
think so.
that's
Greg,
that's
you
a,
were
that's a
saying?
very yeah. So there are normally heuristics for betting. So I understand this from a tournament perspective. Sorry, so I'm gonna implement some of it, and I don't know how much of it applies to cash. So just pardon my ignorance in the interim. But
My
normally,
bread and butter.
so like when you play or when you want to polarize for an overbet spot, there's a couple of things that need to happen within that hand, and I just wanted to make this kind of clear for you. And you can look at these all on your own and like use GTO Wizard to look at the boards that essentially illuminate
Sure.
when you are supposed to bet big. But it is normally when you have the nut advantage and you are betting and you are going to be able to bet large. So like one example like on the flop that I like to use is I am the button and I'm against the big blind and the board is ace 7-4. I normally go for big bets on those kind of boards because there's disconnected and not completed equity. Also on like 10-7-5,
Sorry, what
something like
size-
that.
You bet large on flop as just a simple flop C bet, single raise
Yeah,
pot? Like,
as like-
what
yeah.
sizing do you go? Like 70,
Like 70, like 75%, yeah.
Okay,
Like stuff
okay.
like that. And then on
Okay.
turns, it's predominantly when the board's equity is not completed, so there's no completed straights, or there's double, or the board is extremely dynamic, and you both have the range or like the same, or like essentially you have a range or a nut advantage, then you can go for a polarization size. So like over pot bet. So like if the board is like Jack 10-4, right? And you can go for like and then I don't know, let's say like the eight of like, and it's single suited, so it's Jack 10 of spades and the 9 the 4 of hearts, and then let's say the 9 of hearts come, or I'm sorry, let's say like the 7 of hearts comes. You can make a rather chunky bet on a board like that because the equity is so dynamic. So you want to pile more money into the pot as long as it favors in your range. So
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
So-
and you could look at GTO Wizard and stuff
Here's
like
another
that to
example
see.
of it with this in mind. Ace, queen, 7. You've raised the low jack, the big blind has called. You can bet range on that board and you can bet large. The turn is an ace. Very good for your range.
hmm
You can continue large there when you continue. The turn is a queen. Not so good for your range because he's called. What you don't look at his initial range now, you look at the range of hands that he called from the big blind and then called your bet, especially your large bet.
Mhm.
Queen is
A
well
lot of queen X
represented.
there. A lot of strong queen X in that spot. Yep.
Yeah, so that's, you know, an example of a card that shifts equity in favor of your opponent's funneled range, your opponent's range at this point, not their origin range.
Okay. So
Yeah,
one thing that Greg was just talking about, and you can, I have a question about how I'm thinking about it. Maybe you can tell me if it's right or not. So when I see bet, I'm in position, I see bet flop, and then when I choose to check turns, I'm usually checking out of a reason of pot control. When you're taking these like betting smaller, continuing smaller on turns with like say marginal hands, that is kind of functioning as pot control, but you are still getting value out of your sort of marginal holdings, right? Is that a
I got to correct something before Greg comes in. You are not often betting your marginal hand on the turn. You are often checking your marginal hand on the turn.
okay? Sorry, let me rephrase that. When you're betting these, when you have a holding on the turn that you do want to bet, which
Yeah.
isn't like an ultra premium, say like a pocket tens on an ace high board or something like that.
I don't want to
you're
bet
not
pocket
betting.
tens on an
You're
ace high
not.
board.
Yeah, you're not betting that either. You're
Right.
checking. You're checking back a majority of the time.
What the
Like,
Okay.
hand
what
you're
do
looking for is top pair medium kicker. That
Okay.
you might want to continue to bet and you might not, and that you might bet small. I think that's the hand
Okay.
you're looking for.
But
'Cause all the ones you
choosing to
listed-
bet small largely functions as a form of pot control while still getting you value from a made hand.
Yes, from a
Yes.
worse
Okay.
made hand, yes.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay.
I mean, I feel like you're actually ceding pot control to your opponent in that case, because if you check behind, you're controlling the pot. If
Okay.
you bet, you're giving your opponent the option to raise, which he didn't have until you bet.
You're
Exactly.
misunderstanding the definition of pot control.
Yep.
Who is, Matt or?
Matt.
Okay.
The pot control is about keeping the pot small. When you say pot control, it means you're doing your part not to bloat the pot.
It's inconsequential of what your opponent decides to do, regardless of what you've done.
Right, you're choosing not
Okay.
to bloat the pot.
Gotcha.
If they want to bloat the pot, then you have to make your decision. Can my hand play in a bloated pot?
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Yeah,
But pot control isn't equivalent to initiative.
Oh, no, that's not what he was saying. He was saying pot control is about keeping the pot small, and if you bet even small, you may not have just succeeded in keeping
No.
the pot small because he can
No,
check raise. Not the
When Matt
initiative
was
you've been up, but-
explaining it, I think Matt was equating it with initiative.
Okay, is that what you meant, Matt?
No, I meant, I mean, if your goal is to keep the pot small and you're last to act in position, then checking keeps the pot small.
Okay.
I mean, that's
And betting
axiomatic.
might not.
And
Okay.
betting makes the pot larger. How much larger isn't really up to you anymore. It's now up to your opponent.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to reconcile the lines where you choose to bet small on turns that I would otherwise choose to check for the reason of keeping it a small pot, looking to get to showdown.
If
I
your
see
goal is to
some
keep it a
overlap.
small pot, if your goal is to keep it a small pot to get to showdown, then you don't bet.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that's a simplification I think you can go. If your goal is to keep the pot small, one of the things that betting small on the turn is it can quote buy you a cheap river, but that's not the
Yeah.
same as keeping the pot small. They're related into how
Okay.
much money you have to put in.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Pick a hand that say you're opening from the hijack. Pick any
Okay.
hand.
Okay.
Like in the middle. What hand do you have?
Jack nine
Ace
diamonds.
jack. Oh,
Yes, Jack nine of diamonds.
Oddly specific, but sure.
Okay. Ace 10 4 with one diamond.
Yeah,
You may see bet range.
yeah, I see bet for sure.
Two of diamonds, what do you do?
So I'm on the diamond draw now. See, I love continuing these diamond draws. That's one that I'm much more likely to
Okay.
continue.
That's fine.
Um,
We're all,
how
we're all
large do
okay
you,
on you betting that.
how large do you bet on that card?
Pot or over pot, trying to polarize, trying to size for
Well,
stacks.
Not over pot. I think 75% to 100% pot is
Okay, sure,
adequate.
sure.
All right. So
100% pot, exactly 100% pot would be my default. I would be looking for an excuse to find the overbet. That's what I would say.
Offsuit 10 hits. What do you do with your jack nine?
I think you're kind of obligated to barrel. Obligated to continue. Rip it, 100% pot or jam.
That is the opposite of what you should do.
Okay, great, sweet.
You should
Yeah.
give up a certain amount, and if you do bet, you want to bet small
Okay,
because that's an equity shifting card.
okay. Okay, sure.
Okay.
And it shifts
Right.
equity to your opponent. Okay.
Understood.
All right,
Right.
and offsuit jack hits. Now you have second pair.
Now
And
I'm
they
happy
check
just to
you.
get the showdown without putting
Mhm.
any more money into
Right,
the pot.
and you check.
Yeah.
So that's basically the three types of examples with that hand that you'll run into.
Okay. Okay.
It's funny because like I normally when the when the suited diamond hits like on the what was it? What was the flop? Or was it the suited diamond come on
I
the
just
turn?
said like ace
It would-
10 for two diamonds or
And we
one
had jack
diamond.
nine diamonds.
You had the backdoor draw.
Oh, you have the backdoor draw? Yeah. And then and what was the turn? What was on the turn?
For that one, I
X of
think I gave it to
diamonds.
two of diamonds.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm checking there a lot because I don't want to get blown off my equity. Like if I bet and I get raised, like I'm in hell.
That's
Um,
fair. It is a
to
mix
me-
for me. Majority
that's
bet
a-
though.
That's almost a mandatory double barrel for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet
I'm just
75% there.
here. Let me just pull it up real
If you
quick.
had like king jack of diamonds and you were drawn to the nuts, that's
Oh,
more
then
of
you
a-
would check. Then you would check. Yeah, but since you have jack
Right.
nine of diamonds, that makes more sense. Yeah. Okay. I can definitely get behind that because your hand is not strong enough, or it's strong, but it's not strong. What did you say the flop was again? I'm sorry. I kind of want to throw this in. Yeah.
ace 10 for one diamond.
Right. And Joey, I'm gonna change one thing in your example. When you said you have the king jack of diamonds, I think the king jack of diamonds can continue there because it's also got the straight draw. That it's now
Oh
a
yeah,
double.
all right.
So I gotta
that's
give
a
you
good
king
point.
nine of diamonds. King
Yeah,
nine is in range. King nine works
yeah,
for your example.
yeah, exactly. You're right. Yeah.
So
Oh,
I'm
no.
gonna open up
Actually-
the whiz if that's okay with
Yeah,
y'all.
open up the whiz and share your
Of
screen
course.
and then,
Hang me one
and
Actually-
somebody else load up a last hand because we'll do one more
Scotty,
hand after this. Yeah,
The
Joey?
king jack of diamonds with the flush draw and the gut shot might want to check more. Because it has more equity to realize.
And I thought it had enough that if you get check raised, you get to call it and therefore you do bet it.
So
I thought it's the
Just-
middle one where you don't want, if you have, you can bet a bad draw that you don't mind folding. You don't want to bet a good draw that you have to fold, but a draw that is so good that you don't need to fold it, you can bet. That's what I thought was the general heuristic. Alright.
So jack nine of diamonds can bet. It does check some.
Cool.
Can you all
So
see
we
my
got our
screen?
jack nine of diamonds.
Yep.
yeah.
So you have such a
Can-
polar sizing here.
can
It's
you
actually kind of
switch-
insane.
Can you switch it to I was imagining the four of diamonds being the diamond.
Oh, sure.
Because on this one, we actually have the backdoor straight
Uh,
flush draw.
Okay. So
And I'm
let me-
wondering,
Yeah, that's a good point.
Oh no! I thought
And
I
then,
had
like-
cash.
I got it.
Don't. Okay.
I'll burn one for you now.
Okay. Give me a second. Let me.
I got it too.
Oh, you got it? Okay, you do it.
Yeah. I thought I had cash. I don't know why.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't have cash anymore.
Wait, give me like
Yeah, my
2 minutes,
pool has
minute. I gotta start.
expired.
Okay.
So ace 10 deuce, right? Ace 10 deuce with a
No,
no ace 10
10
4.
Ace 10
ace 10
4
4
with
the
the
deuce.
four of
diamonds.
diamonds.
With
Okay.
the 4 of diamonds, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'll ask you for the configuration now. Well,
Turn on
I'll
the
ask you now.
chat.
Who opened and what's the so
I
six
think we
low
had-
jack?
I think it was hijack versus big blind.
Yep,
Okay.
hijack.
It was a hijack open
Or-
and then big blind
Share
call.
your screen, Skate.
Yep.
Hold on, give me I'm starting my computer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Heck, I'll steal it.
But yeah, you got that's correct. That's what we were discussing.
Yeah, because I think, let me just look in tournament land.
There goes.
I'm pretty sure. I'm
Tournament
betting.
land, it should be roughly the same until you get under 40 big blinds, I guess.
Yeah, because 100 big blind poker is about the same, right? Like for tournaments and for
Yeah, GTO.
No,
God damn it.
no, actually it's wider still because you're playing with an ante as opposed to with an ante you can win as opposed to rake that you lose.
that okay, yeah, that makes sense.
All
I
right.
mean, that being
Ace
said,
of
how often you're
spades,
actually
jack of
calculating
hearts.
the ante.
Four of diamonds. Oh, sorry, ace of spades, 10 of hearts. Okay,
It should be
Ace
10 of
10.
hearts.
it should be, but now I've done too fast. So now you've got the 10. Now you've got queen. I know I've screwed it up completely. All right, someone
Yeah,
else
no,
has
we
gotta
would have
do
a
it.
pair. We would
All
have
right,
a middle
it's
pair
you,
there.
it's you, Joe. It's yours. I hit it too fast, and that's my one. Skate, you got to do it.
I've still got one if you guys burn the
Okay,
next one.
somebody put it up.
Okay. You want me to do it or
Yeah, or just whoever has it up first, grab the screen and do it.
Yeah, I'm starting it up here. Let's see who gets
Ah,
it
this is-
first.
This is quality study time, my friends.
Speed running GTO wizard.
I'm ready.
All right.
See Sure, I mean I'm here. Hello? Yeah,
Yep.
I'm ready. I mean,
Yes, yes.
Okay, share your screen, Skate.
where's the share screen button?
It's in Zoom.
Where are
Bottom,
you?
bottom middle.
That's AI companion, record, show captions.
Go to the left. You'll see a green one that says share screen.
Oh, there we go. Right. The only one I did
Yeah.
not roll my eyes over.
All
The green,
right,
Okay.
there we
okay.
go. Okay, beautiful.
So where am I? Okay, I'm
The
here.
fabulous board is
Hijack.
hijack raise. So, oh, we're,
Yeah.
I gotta reset, right?
Yep, and you're
There
gonna
we
have
go.
to change this to 100 bigs probably.
oh, we can't change it.
Oh, you
It's
can't?
got, it's there. Because
I could change.
this is the one he brought.
No?
We're doing it at
No, he-
150, kids.
Skater die paid for it. I think he can change.
Oh, you
it.
did?
No,
Oh,
no,
you did
I
pay
didn't.
for it. Look at that.
No,
Oh.
I didn't pay for it. I got a 1 month subscription
Great.
for
Oh, nice.
can-
for
Congratulations. All right.
So he
Yeah, so
has
you'll have the
same as if
premium.
he paid.
no,
Yeah.
I don't have. I have the
No, it'll be premium. The elite is the AI solving, but it's if you have a month,
Yeah.
it'll be the premium for sure.
yeah, I guess also
Or I guess, oh no, wait, it could be basic. Okay, never mind. I'm an idiot.
Where is it?
Don't listen to me.
what's this? How come I can't move this? Oh, there you go. I can move it. Here
We
you
are
go. See,
about
see,
to move
I
on to
got a
another
month.
hand, my friends.
Yeah, this one.
Okay.
Got
You
a
want me? I can
monthly.
pull it up.
He's got
So,
it. He's ready. He's ready.
Okay.
so what do I do?
Alright.
All right,
Oh,
go
you're faster
to
than me, so
2.5 chart.
Right. So
Not
go to
GTO.
change. 2.5. Rebet size, any. That's fine. Good. This is
General.
perfect.
general.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
There we
There
go.
we
Better
go.
general. Okay. All right.
Right.
Hijack open.
Big blind.
Big
call.
blind call.
There we go.
All right,
Perfect.
there we go.
There we go. Flop is let's
So-
get this correct.
Ace. All right, 4 of diamonds.
And move this again. I can see. Okay. Four diamond, 10 of hearts.
Yeah, ace of spades.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Yes.
right. There we go. Big blind checks range.
Beautiful.
We got that.
Yeah,
And
pretty
in
much.
population, big blind does not check range.
And then you gotta click check.
Under the
Oh.
big blind there, right there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay.
And then
Now the hijack has got the
bets,
jack nine of
jack
spades,
nine
Gives
of
us our-
diamonds.
diamonds.
Gives us our decision.
and we're gonna bet, we bet, small on it, right? Yeah, 'cause we
Now
bet
look at
range.
Jack nine suited.
If you
see
can-
There is small bets with diamonds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
hover over.
I
There we
assume
go.
there are, yes.
Oh, yeah.
alright.
Yep.
I mean, the EV is about equit.
It's like the same,
Yep.
same as EV across
Yeah.
the board, except for jamming.
It is a lovely Neapolitan.
Yeah.
Strategy. So
Yep.
we're gonna bet small, because that's
Yep.
what we did.
Yep.
In
Yep.
the conversation.
33 or
Yep, B33,
I mean, I think that's what happens in practice too.
right?
And
He
call.
calls.
And the
I'm
first turn was a two of diamonds,
Two of diamonds.
Beautiful.
and I was barreling.
Yeah, I think it's majority barrel.
He checks.
He has no leads.
He leads a 3-3.
It's a good- that's a good lead.
Yeah,
I like that one.
right. And now you're Jack nine,
Of diamonds,
specifically
Yeah,
of
diamonds
diamonds.
check
specifically
barrel.
finds
It
the
doesn't
barrel.
have to. I would do, see,
Yeah.
I'm aggressive. I would do this 100%.
So both of the arguments that you said,
Yeah.
your reason, the solver doesn't do it for our reasons. It does it because because of brute force. But brute
Mm-hmm.
force comes up with the answer, bet it because you increased your equity, or check it and try to, and take your equity.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah,
that's
you-
ace jack four, if I have the pair along with the diamond draw, I'm slam dunk checking. I have enough equity just to check and then realize my flush draw, but also have the pair for showdown.
So you're not talking about you're not talking about ace high, are you?
Yeah, ace jack four.
But
the
now
two-
compare it to what happens when the 10 of clubs hits.
Yeah, change your turn.
So yeah, changes to the 10. Well, I mean the board pairs. You're never.
If this changes to the 10 of clubs, I'm probably not barreling. I'm probably giving up here.
You
Yeah,
talked,
well,
I thought
I
before you
think
said you wanted to.
Before you said you were gonna barrel.
Mm,
Oh my gosh, you do.
no, no, no,
Oh
no,
no,
no.
this is a check.
No,
Here we go.
no,
You
I was
check.
talking about different actions.
Hijack, click over the-
I meant the flop. If the flop was ace jack four instead of ace 10 4. If I had
Oh.
the pair along.
Oh,
with the
yeah, yeah,
diamond
yeah.
draw.
Right.
That's
Here,
all I meant.
by the way, I just want to point out, if I just saw this right, we could not have been more wrong. Look at the hijack. Click on Jack nine. In this
Yeah, because
note,
this is slam dunk check for me.
he loves to bet,
Wow. Okay.
you weirdo.
Yeah, that-
I don't know. I wouldn't do that bet.
No, deuce of diamonds, I'm betting about 75% of the time. This 10 of
Skate.
clubs, I'm checking like 100% of the time.
I
Do-
love that we did this.
Skate, do me a favor. Go to the flop, the big blind right after the flop. Click on that. Now click ranges. So
There's our equity chart.
we have 60% equity on that flop. Alright, now go to the turn and click the big blind.
This is gonna be a huge shift. On the
Yeah.
board pairs.
Yep.
Huge equity shift.
Yep.
Well, because
Absolutely.
he has a lot of ancillary tens here.
Yeah.
Like he has a lot of
True.
like 10x stuff like that. Also,
Right.
so like
Well,
there's a
that's-
ton
I
of
picked-
donking.
I picked that card because of the equity shift, thinking that we're not gonna be bluffing with the jack nine of diamonds anymore.
And it loved to bluff it wanted to bluff the Jack nine of diamonds
Well,
more.
it mixed them, but
It
yeah.
mixed them, but it mixed heavier. It had fewer calls, it had fewer checks in this configuration, which shocks me.
Yeah, what is the reason it's finding the bluff on this 10 of clubs turn? Like what
Because
is
because we block Jack 10.
okay, wow. That's enough of a
Yeah.
reason to barrel that high of a frequency.
We block also Queen Jack, which gains equity. We block I
Nine,
don't know.
So this
Yeah,
increased betting frequency is entirely a function of blocker effects, card removal.
That is correct, and that's an equilibrium. That is
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that is an equilibrium thing. So if you look at the so go back to strategy and EV, I want to show you're gonna see something kind of funny here. So when this okay, so it probably has to be a lower card. Can you change a 10 to a 4?
You want it to pair? Just
Yeah,
making
I
sure.
want the bottom pair, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
no
the
flush
make
draw.
without the flush draw here. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, I think with the flush draw, it's gonna wanna donk more. So yeah, change that to the 4 of spades. I wonder. Cause like the big blind should have,
No,
no?
it doesn't give him a donking range.
Oh, that's interesting. I like,
The only
in,
thing,
like,
the only thing that might give him a donking range would be a jack, queen, or king.
for
Yeah.
the big blind?
Yeah,
Huh,
Just
interesting.
completes the Broadway.
yeah.
Okay.
I wonder. That's interesting. Oh, wow. Yeah, no, you're right, Joey. Joey the
He'll
solver.
sneak in there with, his king jack offsuit nonsense.
No, it's good. It's good to like go over spots like this.
Doesn't
And
like the king.
and understand the,
It does like the queen.
Not
Yeah.
the king, but
it
the
doesn't like
jack
that,
and the
yeah.
queen.
King is too good. King is too good for our
Gross.
bluffing range.
Yeah,
For
Mhm.
the
yeah. Yep.
hijacks.
Yeah.
It all makes sense. It really
Mhm.
does.
I get the board has to be lower for, I think, for us to actually donk. So, but I was just wondering if we had any.
Well, that 10 of
Um,
clubs with the
but-
increased turn barrel, that was a little suspect, but
Put the 4 back on the board, and I wanna see the hijack reaction to the 4.
I think it blasts. Yeah. Yeah, it does.
And what jack 9 suited is doing it? The
It's also-
spades.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
that would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna wanna blast.
I put in the chat, there was just an article that Maria Konnikova wrote for The Atlantic about GTO Wizard in the context of AI, and it's
I
a
was
very
just-
good read.
yeah, I was
And
just
it talks
scrolling through
about
this.
situations like this.
I was scrolling here.
So next hand?
Yep.
I-
And just so you guys, I'll let you guys control the screen like that. Yell when you're done. I gotta go do some work, but I'll keep
Yeah.
the room open. You can go
I
as
have to
long.
log off too. I have a
Okay.
suggestion for next week.
Yeah?
Look at turn barreling decisions in position in
Perfect.
That's a
SPR.
great idea. I've
That's
done a
what
lot
next
of
week
work on
is.
that. I have a ton of hands in Poker Tracker on that
Yeah.
exact spot.
We'll do that with a trainer. We'll do that with study and then if prep some, when you guys prep your marked hands, if you prep them for that particular situation, even better.
Okay.
All right. You
A
guys
lot of
wanna
mine
be
are gonna
done, or
be
you wanna
like-
do one more hand?
No, I have to go. It's time I
Okay.
gotta start attending to my son.
Bye, Joey. The rest of you guys, do you wanna do one more hand or you wanna be done?
I can do one more. It's up
Okay.
to you though. Whatever.
Sure, we'll do one more. and
Okay,
then we gotta go.
somebody grab the screen.
I don't play
Now-
cash enough.
Do you guys do you guys see value in looking at like tournament hands, like a 60 big blind
No.
effective hands?
No.
no.
Absolutely not.
No,
No.
All right.
save that crap for 7 AM in Louis. We don't
Fair
need,
enough.
we don't need your things.
Fair enough.
Yeah. You can come to you can come to
God damn
you can come to the other tournament session.
All right.
When is
Yeah.
this tournament session? Is that?
It's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, at 10 AM Eastern, 7 AM
Oh
Pacific.
shit. I used to go to Peters, but they were at 9:30
They were- yeah,
PM
they're-
on Monday nights. It was a
So
nightmare.
so Pete stopped doing those sessions
Okay.
because he wanted to start studying independently on some Pilo stuff. So he started
Gotcha.
doing that.
Okay.
And then yeah. Pete's my coach now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
They were good sessions, just such a nightmare time. Like after everyone's been, drinking, smoking dope and doing who knows what all day. So it's
Yeah. I feel yeah.
Y'all clearly have a more interesting life than me.
Yeah, I just play
try.
poker, man. Just play poker. Does anybody else have a hand? Because I don't have any. I have. Oh wait, that's a lie. Hold on. I have a hand.
Liar.
I have a hand, and I went for the greediest play ever. Hold on, you guys are gonna
Perfect.
hate this. This is so good.
sounds exciting.
Let me see if I can find it and not compromise work stuff at the same time. Give me a second.
We'd love to see what you work on. Go ahead.
No,
Confidential
no,
information.
no. We don't do that here.
I've got kind of an interesting one as well, if we need another hand to look at.
Oh man, where is this?
That one just kind of popped
Sent
up,
it to Pete.
popped out of the screen to me.
Okay. We move this tab and close all this and then share this. The sad part, I can't walk through it like you guys do with your replayers because I'm not fancy enough. But we'll talk about it.
It's all good.
Let me see if I can figure out how to get, there we go. I can go back over. Can you guys see that?
Yep. Oh, GG
Yep.
replayer or natural
Yeah.
8. Same thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate how they
Um,
don't do big blinds. How do you get it to do big blind display? I have looked for years.
You click the BB at the top. And it
Oh
works.
my god.
Yeah.
I think that might be a natural 8 thing.
Nope. It's a GG main client. I play technically on the main client.
Okay.
So.
So you raised pre-flop queens, you got 3-bet by ace king on the button and you
Mhm.
called, is that what that? No.
I 3-bet. I 4-bet. And he called.
Sorry, my screen disappeared here.
Oh, okay. Raise
Yep.
3-bet, 4-bet
So
call.
raise
Got it.
3-bet, 4-bet call. I bet so pot's 38, I bet about a quarter, because you don't have any larger size bets on this board. I probably could have gone larger,
What?
because it's 2, 5, 6. So I definitely could have gone larger. But in tournament play, you don't really have big bets in a 4-bet pot.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Are you guys like the same stack? Effective stack here?
I cover, I think, by a lot.
Yeah, well, you
more-
only cover you cover only by Charles 23
Oh,
by
yeah.
a little bit.
I'm just
Uh,
trying to figure
well,
out how
this
deep
guy.
our button player is.
He's got a broken stock. It's not effective enough because he's got like, actually, no, we're about Equistack, I guess.
So
maybe.
wait, you're like about 100 big blinds and he's like about 100 big blinds?
Yeah, give or
Okay.
take.
Okay.
14.
Yeah, because he still has 2.8 behind afterwards when I jam.
Yeah. Okay.
I would be betting much bigger on the flop.
So
I mean, I think that's a flop where you have a big nut advantage because really neither of you have sets.
that's
And
correct.
so it's
Mhm.
over pairs and he does not, he's very unlikely to have kings or aces. So he can have
Yep.
10s, jacks, 9s, and that are all gonna call. So I would be betting pot or more.
I agree with that, and I think also for that same reason, betting slightly smaller does the same thing because he's
Mhm.
going to be still in the hand. He's going to actually be raising a lot of his overpairs, especially if we're talking about a tournament line here. And then you're
Well,
going to be
yeah,
getting it in
so-
all the way, or
so-
getting it in either way.
So I took the smaller size, because the thing is that ace king, ace queen, ace jack all can still call, or I mean not ace jack, but ace king and ace queen suited can definitely call a non-polar size bet. I
Yep.
bet small to keep his bluffs in.
Yep.
Right.
Smart. Smart.
So
I like it.
it went call. And then it went check turn. So I'm like, okay, this is ace king or ace queen, with some equity. So I was like, I'm gonna let him attempt to like. So if it's ace king, I'm shutting down on the river, obviously.
I'm
or
not a
sorry,
fan of
it's a-
checking turn here.
Oh,
I think
so there's a couple of reasons of why I
Okay.
check turn. If I'm against aces, right? I'm probably in some deep shit. I went for this for some pot control, initially, right? And then it kind of hit me on the river of what was going on. So
Mhm.
I think that I probably would have gotten raised by aces on the flop, right? So that led that out. When I check, I expect him with his overpairs to go extremely polar. So I'm not blasting here, because I kind of want to keep this like middle of range. So what else would also check behind? So things that have essentially that are incomplete. Keeping his bluffs
Mhm.
in on this turn. So ace king, ace queen, ace jack, and some, I don't know, ace 10 suited that essentially calls. And then river happens and it's a blank. And then all the cards that should have equity here that like would make it, it doesn't matter. And I go for the greedy jam and he calls because he's a fish and has
Mhm.
ace high.
No, I like it. I would have played it a little bit differently at a couple of different spots, but I don't dislike how you played it. I think turn, I really like continuing on turn because I really hate going check and then allowing a king or a king to peel on river here. And even to a lesser
Yeah.
extent, like you've let his pocket sevens get there. I mean, it's just like,
If it gets there, it gets there. That's the part of poker, right?
yeah,
Like,
correct. But also from that same reasoning, that's also more the reason to continue on turn because, okay, sure, if he has pocket kings here, if he has pocket aces here, sure, he has it, but he's going to be calling with his pocket eights, pocket nines, tens, jacks, as well
He
as
would-
like this nonsense that he has. Like it
he'd
is
be-
just very much a situation where the combinatorics are in your favor to continue, in my
but
opinion.
he would be betting if he had any of those hands here.
Um,
And
He would be betting if he had what?
If he had
Nines? I don't think so.
no, if he had aces, if he had aces or kings, he would be betting here.
yeah, if it goes
Sure,
check
I
on
mean-
turn. But
And-
again, that's another reason to bet because then you're checking turn. You're giving him. I mean, I know initiative's an imaginary construct in poker, but players allow it to be a real thing. So you kind of do give the betting initiative to him.
Sure,
And then you're
and I
just
don't-
so often
but-
going to be facing a huge river call here.
Sure,
which
and
really sucks to
and
call, but-
turn. And so like, I mean, I'm not really like, I'm not sweating it when I check turn. I'm always calling river. It's just always happening. I'm like, I mean, I'm always betting river. When I go check here, I'm also probably always calling turn, right? So I don't know. Do I think that this was like the best play? Probably not.
Well, I don't hate it. I think there's a lot of different ways to approach it though. I think there's also a lot of merit for betting very large on flop. Like I think you can even rip it on a lot of flops. Yeah, I think you can bet 100% pot on a lot of flops.
I'm not getting called by a rip by much worse
Oh,
though. I'm
yeah, you'd
not getting called by
Oh.
ace king if I rip it
yeah,
on the
no.
flop.
Well, you'd
No,
be
certainly
surprised.
not, but you're getting called by tens. You're getting
getting-
called by nines.
Sevens, eights, nines, tens,
So-
jacks.
I would agree with you both in theory, right? But here's the thing. Most people aren't calling four bets with tens and jacks in NL10 on GG Russian cash.
You know, I did kind of forget it was a 4-bet pot. That's kind of my
Sorry.
bad.
Like that's
no,
just that's just not a real thing. So
No,
like
that's
but
my
what hands
oversight.
but what
That's my
hands do they continue with here? It's like ace
Well, you're
queen,
kind of down to
ace
like
king.
jacks and tens and ace king.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
That's the reason why I made the gritty rip, because the thing is like when you do this to somebody and like what are they like, it's either air or the nuts. And
Mhm.
he thought I was full of shit. And I don't blame him. And he called.
So
wait,
I do think there is something to be said for not allowing him a free card on turn though, because you can effectively force the same situation on turn by continuing, and then you're not letting him realize full equity. And like if you fold him out, sure. But if you call or if he calls, you're still ahead of so much of his range.
I mean,
Yeah.
tech-
And the other thing I would
Uh-huh.
add is there's a shit ton of really bad river cards for villain's range if he has tens, jacks. So if he's got jacks and an ace comes on the river, then he's out of the hand. He's not going to be
Mhm.
calling that big bet. So I think you want to get it while the getting's good on the turn.
sure. But if there's an ace there, I'm not necessarily thrilled to bet either. Like,
If there's an ace,
Right,
like
but
you're
he-
out of
he
position.
doesn't-
Yeah, no. If there's an ace on the turn, I'd probably check. If I'm you.
Right.
meant
I
on
mean,
the-
I'm
I meant
thinking
on the river.
on the flop and on the turn, what do you think your equity is on the flop and turn? I mean, how often do you
Um,
think you're ahead?
I mean, in a 4-bet pot,
Mhm.
it's probably close. It's probably.
You think it's close?
I think you're like at least you've got to be like 65% plus here, no?
So I would say against, like, if I only put my, so the other thing that I really wanted to elaborate here, or I mean, kind of like harp on here, and now that like I'm realizing this sort of like retrospectively, I don't think villain is ever not five betting me with aces. I don't
Right.
think he just flats,
Okay,
right?
yeah, yeah.
And kings as
Yeah.
well. So now
I agree,
I've
I agree.
also kind of came to the realization that, okay, yeah, so I could have gotten more by betting flop, betting bigger on flop but then again, if villain's not five betting me, I'm guessing that it's most likely not aces and kings. And I didn't go, I went for like a pretty small 4-bet, to be honest.
Mhm.
Like this isn't a big 4-bet. This is like
No, it is small.
effectively a click.
Yep, I agree.
So
I think you played this quite nicely, all of this being said.
yeah, thank you.
No, I think that's right. I think so. The way I look at it is, yeah, I mean, I think you're onto it now. The only way you're behind on the flop and the turn is if villain is slow playing aces and king or kings, which is possible, but certainly not high frequency.
Sure.
And or and so their most likely holdings are, you know, whatever, tens, jacks, ace, king, ace, queen suited. So,
Sure.
which means like the chances that you're ahead on the flop and the turn are enormous. You have tons, you have a huge equity edge.
Sure.
And I think he's
yeah.
like extremely heavily weighted towards jacks and tens here specifically. Even like queens to some, even, I mean, that's one combo, but like, that's just kind of what it feels like, tens to queens, you know, like very specifically.
Yeah, exactly. And that's that's why, like, after I realized I went check turn, I'm like, oh, this man has ace king or ace queen. He's about to feel the wrath of the river.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I mean, we already have 63 blinds in the pot. So like SPR is very close to 1 already. And that's the other reason, I guess, like looking at this, like most likely why I was like, all right, you know, I'll just check. Like
What are
SPR
the
is close
stakes
enough
here?
and NL10, so like $10.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, he's calling nines, he's calling eights, nines, he's calling tens, he's calling jacks. So no, I think you got, I mean, well, you did get max value.
I got
I think the way
absolutely
you-
max.
Yeah,
the
I
way
see
you-
yeah, for checking.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, I think there's a lot of different ways you can approach this hand, but the way you did was actually, I think, pretty smart.
This is like I don't
just-
know.
So I gotta run.
Oh, no worries. It was nice meeting you. The guy, so I'm not sure. I watched like, I don't like to talk about other things that what do you call it? Like for
That-
like
that
record. Yeah, other
That poker coaching
stuff.
is not in favor of.
Yeah,
That's fine. That's fine.
but-
If this is the last hand, I'll stop the recording and then you can talk about anything you
Yeah,
want.
yeah. Okay.
Are we-
Yeah.
Are we good with that? Okay.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for coming. See ya. There we go. The
Oh.
recording stopped.